Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Smart Poker's YouTube channel. We appreciate everyone coming. We're very excited to bring you this episode of Sundazed and Confused with a very special guest. We have David from Cannatrol, and we have the regular crowd here. So that being said, we'll go ahead and do our crowd first, and then we'll give David the stage here and get right into it. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce my co-host, starting with my beautiful wife, Crispy Wannabe.
Thank you, Smart. It is so nice to be here. Thank you, Dave and Jane, for coming on the show today. I'm so excited to have you on. I'm Crispy Wannabe. You can find me every Sunday here at Sundazed and Confused, and on Wednesdays, hump days. Please like and subscribe and hit live chat, and take it away, Puffy. You're up, Puffy. How you doing?
Puffy.
How we doing? Yeah, I'm excited for this episode of Sundazed and Confused, especially about a product that I plan on buying in the future, and to get all the information I can about how to operate it before I even get it is pretty exciting for me. So I am definitely ready for this one. Glad to see everybody here. Chat, how you guys doing? Yeah, go ahead, Wheat Nerd, take it away.
Well, hey, cheers, gang. It's a pleasure to have David here from Cannatrol to discuss a beautiful product. I've been using it for a while now, and it's made me very happy. So it'd be interesting to go through it and see the history of it and all that. So cheers to Smart, Crispy, Buffy, David, and everyone in the chat there. Cheers. Should be a good one.
Thank you very much, Weed Nerd. And yes, we always want to take time to shout out the chat and to all of our friends who are locked up currently for growing a flower and unjustly. So cheers to them and to the Last Prisoner Project. With that being said, we're going to move right in here to say greetings to David. Again, thank you for coming. And we wanted to see if you wanted to give your little introduction here, and then we'll go right into, I guess my first question will be, how did all this begin, man? How did you get into, a cabinet for curing cannabis? That's kind of like a niche product, and we were just curious how that went about.
Well, it's an interesting path that got us here. We used to have a restaurant, and we were serving local farm-to-table products. We were buying cheese from local cheesemakers, and a cheesemaker came to me knowing my background's in controls, and said, I can't control the humidity in my cheese cave, the cheese aging room. And I said, you're right, you cannot control humidity. Humidity is made up of two variables. It's made up of temperature and the water vapor in the air. And you can change either the temperature of the air or the amount of water vapor in the air, and the relative humidity changes. So it's really difficult to control humidity. It's impossible as a single control point. So with that, I came up with an idea of how to control the two variables that make up humidity independently, built a system, and we tried it in the cheese aging room, and it worked extremely well. That led to another cheesemaker, and to date, we have hundreds of artisan cheesemakers throughout North America with this technology. As far west as, I think there are 2 in Hawaii, down in Florida, Texas, and all up through Canada. Someone then said, well, if this does what it does for cheese, can it work on charcuterie, like salamis and dry
Right.
meats? And well, not knowing much about how to make cheese or how to make meat, we spoke to a couple of people, came up with what the settings were necessary. And next thing, people in the world of charcuterie were buying the technology for doing charcuterie. It then led to dry-aged steaks. So we have some large producers of dry-aged meat in big cities, where if you go to a fancy steakhouse and get a dry-aged steak, a good chance it came out of a room that has our technology in it for drying and aging steaks. That then led us to, will this work for cannabis? Because the physics is the same. It's all about taking a product that's wet, that has free available water, and removing that free available water. So all that's left is the bound water, and you have a shelf-stable product. And that's what cheese and these cured meats are all about. It's getting rid of the free available water and just leaving the bound water behind. once you get rid of the free available water, there isn't water available for microbes and mold and things like that to grow on. So the same physics apply to a cannabis flower. The problem is typical room for aging cheese, curing cheese, steaks, meats are several thousand square feet. And we didn't think someone was ready to lend us a couple of $1 million of flour to put in one of these rooms to try it.
Right.
So we took a wine cooler, basically, so we have an insulated box, and that's all we were interested in, is having an insulated box with a door, gutted it, and then applied our technology. And we gave it to a caregiver here in Vermont who tried it and came back a couple of weeks later and said, this is some of the best flour I've ever made drying and curing. So we made a couple of more prototypes. And from there, more and more prototypes to now there's, I think, over 1,500 of these out all over the world. We have demand from all of Europe, South America, people willing to pay for us to ship them UPS. So once we knew the technology was proven, we then rolled it out into the big commercial systems, not much different than what we were supplying to cheese and meat makers, but now for the cannabis industry. So we have large systems around the country. Rooms typically are sized at 1,000 pounds of wet flour going in at a time. Most facilities will have 2 to 4 rooms. We were just at a startup at a facility. They had 4 1,000-pound rooms, their trim room and a store room. So as soon as they take down the plants, they go right into the trim room and they're immediately in the controlled conditions.
Wow, that's smart.
Once they get them trimmed, they go into the dry rooms, and then after about a week, they pull them, finish trim, and then they'll go into either packaging or they'll go into a cure room, because what we're finding is certain cultivars definitely improve with age and curing. Now we have to start thinking about fine wines, teas, distillates, scotches, bourbons that improve with time. And we're finding the same thing is happening with the cannabis flower. So that's how we got here. That's why it looks like a wine cooler. There's nothing about it that it resembles a wine cooler other than it's an insulated box with a door.
Right. And that's a great explanation of how necessity is the mother of all inventions. You know, your friend came to you with a big problem and you guys figured it out and was able to go apply it to different things. And I like something that you mentioned there was I think this is important for a lot of us cannabis growers. We've all suffered the loss of botrytis or gray mold from horrible conditions. So I think something you mentioned was good, is that it's kind of like a house of cards, and if you remove one of those things, with whether it be high moisture or whatever, it can't propagate. So that's a good thing. You put it in your Cannatrol, and that unless you overload it, it lessens your worry about getting mold, and I think that's a big thing. So a couple of the points that I have written down here. I guess you already covered a couple. I have one written down as wine fridge. A lot of people contact me and they want to know the difference between wine fridge. So I was hoping maybe we could get into some of the individual aspects of the technology, such as a dry bulb. And what is a dry bulb? How does it help the Cannatrol? What does it do? Things like that.
All right. So a little background is it's psychrometrics. And if I do a screen share,
yes.
Let's do this. Screen share. And if I go here.
So I have one other question real quick. With the dry bulb, is the dry bulb, does that work as a hygrometer as well as a dry? I'm not really sure exactly what it is, All
right. So I'll start explaining.
All right.
Dry bulb is also known as sensible heat. That's what you feel. Your oven has a very high dry bulb temperature. Your refrigerator has a very low dry bulb temperature. A separate component of the actual temperature is the amount of moisture in that air. So you can have hot, dry, hot, wet. You can have cold, dry, or cold, wet. That's what makes up relative humidity. And can everyone see this chart that's up on the screen right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the blue line, the vertical line, is the dry bulb temperature. And as you add or remove heat from air, that line will move left or right. And then there's a sort of a diagonal line, the blue. That's the dew point. Let's see, no, the dew point's the green horizontal line. As that
Yes.
line moves up or down, what you're doing is adding or removing water vapor from the air. The orange line, which is this curve, that's relative humidity. So when people say, oh, I need to control relative humidity, you can't. It's this curved line.
Because
And
it's
if you think
exactly
about
that.
it,
It's relative to the temperature. Is that why you can't control it? Like, it's relative to another thing,
exactly. So here's an interesting example. Let me go through a bunch of slides here. Hang on.
No, this is great,
this is a
Dave. I
good one.
appreciate you bringing this stuff, man. And I hate to interrupt you, but I sometimes have a hard time following along. I'm painting a picture in my mind's eye. And so if you'll please excuse me if I jump in and kind of get a little better of understanding. But yeah, go ahead. Thank you again.
Could you see it's a chart now. It says which
Yes.
60% relative. Okay. So all the yellow boxes, that's 60% relative humidity. So someone says, oh, I want to keep the flower at 60% relative humidity. And I'd say, which one? Because for every temperature across the top, there's a different dew point down the left where the green 54 is and the green 68. So you can have 60% relative humidity at a 59 dry bulb across the top, and that would be a 45-degree dew point. So that's why when someone says, I'm looking at this target relative humidity, they say, well, it's pretty meaningless. And here, you got this little box up on the screen now?
We're still on the relative humidity.
there we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay. So imagine you've got a cube. It's clear, it's plexiglass, and it's empty. And then we put a couple of drops of water inside the cube and seal it back up again. So we have the sealed cube with a predefined amount of water, let's say 2 or 3 drops. And that water is going to disperse as water vapor in that space. So I don't know if our screens are updating fast enough, but
there we
right
go.
now you can see you got the cube with the drop in there, right? Now,
Yes.
and let's say it's got a relative humidity of 50%. Next, we're going to heat the box.
All righty.
And you'll see a little can. All right. So we're going to warm that box. Well, what's going to happen in the box? The relative humidity is going to go down, but the amount of water hasn't changed in there. The water vapor pressure remained the same. Why did the relative humidity go down? Because relative humidity expresses how much water the air can hold. So by heating the air, we're increasing the air's capacity to hold more water. But we haven't changed the vapor pressure. We haven't changed the amount of water inside that space. All we've done is change the relative humidity because we've warmed the air so it has the ability to hold more water. So that's the point of, why you're dealing with these 2 distinct variables, the vapor pressure, amount of water, and the temperature. And once you can control them independently, now you have control on the drying process. And that's what we do. In a wine cooler or a refrigerator, all that happens is there's a dry bulb thermostat in there measuring the air temperature, and it just starts cooling the air in the box with no regard to what's happening with the water vapor in the air. And what does happen is if you've got a refrigeration system, that coil gets really cold, and that coil starts pulling a lot of water out of the air. And that's when you over-dry the flower. That's why you have to, when you're typical, people look at it as 2 phases, 2 steps. There's drying and there's curing, because they have it in a space where they really can't control the rate that the moisture is going to leave. They're just sucking the moisture out. whether you're hanging it outside, in a barn, in the basement, or even putting it into a wine cooler, it's going to start pulling moisture out of the flour. And at some point, you need it to stop pulling that moisture out of the flour, or you're going to have crispy dust.
And that's why as
grab it at
growers,
some point,
we always
right?
want to,
And you're going
yeah,
to put it in a container, whether it's in a bag or a Tupperware or a mason jar. Now, two things could be at that point. The flour is still wet. And if you put it in that sealed container, you got to burp it to let the moisture out, because you still have excess moisture in the flour. And if you don't get it out, it's going to go moldy. But I like to ask people, if you had that jar in Florida in August and opened the lid on the jar, is the air wetter inside or outside the jar? Which way is the water going?
yep,
You know?
that's true, David.
And
I've
we can do
often,
the opposite and open that jar in December or January in New England, and you're going to let bone dry air in there. You're going to close the lid, and now you're going to continue drying that flour. So what we're doing, and why we're not even close to what a wine cooler refrigerator is, we're controlling that vapor pressure at all times in the box. So the extra moisture, the high vapor pressure of the flour, loses that moisture into the box, and it goes out the drain pipe out the back of the box. Once it reaches the set dew point, which is the vapor pressure, and it's at equilibrium, you're now curing. And now you can leave it in that box. We've left flour in pool cures for as long as 2 years.
wow.
And it still comes out sticky and supple. Now, it did oxidize. You can definitely see the difference in color, but anyone who smoked it was like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe I'm smoking 2-year-old flour.
That's awesome. That is something special. And you're right. When it comes to, like you mentioned before, you know, we hang them up and we have a hard time controlling things. And so you almost have to be, you're always on it, man. And you're looking and you're trying to snap buds and you're squeezing them, you know, and it's very stressful. All your work has now come down to this time. And if you have to job, or in my case, living here in Pittsburgh, we can get really dry temperatures to start the day when I'm leaving for work. By the time I come home, it's 80% humidity. It's been raining all day. And now my buds have taken on moisture, and I've actually had that happen. So one of the questions that I have here, and it might be a little bit, my questions might be a little bit out of line, but I had a question for you was, and it might, I don't know how, let's see here. If I have a plant and it's all, I put it in the Cannatrol and I set it up, and it's say it's 3 days into the dry. We're using factory settings of 4-day dry, 4-day cure. We're 3 days in. If I had a small plant, say I only have three shelves are loaded. Now here we come 3 days later, I have another plant that's coming down. Can I add it to the Cannatrol without harming or reconstituting the buds that are in there? Can it handle that kind of difference, or is that something we should stay away from? Does that make sense? Is that a fair question?
Well, I'll turn the question around back to you.
All
and
right.
You just put soaking wet flowers, towels in your clothes dryer. And they're in there for about 2 hours, and they're starting to get dry, but they're not quite dry yet. Would you then throw soaking wet towels on top of those in the clothes dryer?
I would not, but my only rebuttal to that, to save my skin here, Dave, is that the Cannatrol the Cannatrol does require us to add moisture with a sponge. So I was talking to my wife. I said, if I was to take the sponge out and put the buds in, but I guess my common sense tells me, how can you know how much is going to come out of the buds you're putting in versus that little sponge? But it's just something I wanted to touch on, because I've had people ask me that question, and it's like, I want to say no, but to hear from the horse's mouth is a lot better, you know?
So what a lot of people do is they will put the flour in, they'll get it dry 4 or 5 days, and then pull it. Ideally, if you can get it in there for 7 or 8 days, pull it and then put it like in a sea vault or some other sealed container, run another batch, do it again, run another batch. And then after 3 batches or so, take all your flour and put it back into the cool cure, and now store it in there. You can get about 4 pounds of flour. we like to store our flour in our unit in brown paper bags, old-fashioned sandwich bags, uncoated. That way it's vapor permeable. You can write on the bag what variety it is, and you just fold up the tops of the bags.
Now, just to be clear, you're not doing that until after it's been well dried and cured and it's ready for a long-term
That's
storage.
for storage.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the thing
after
after
about
the
7 or
4
8
days,
days.
right? So you,
Yeah, you can do
I
it
get that because you would still have to burp it potentially because it hasn't fully dried, eh? But you could, till it's all done and then you put it all back in, then potentially could continue to do that as long as you do those burps.
Right, and then once it's all in there, it's all going to equalize. And that's another
Right.
interesting thing about other methods of drying. If you're hanging, you're going to find your small popcorn-sized buds are going to dry much faster than the large coolers. When you put it in the cool cure, what's going to happen is the small ones will lose their water faster, but they're going to start equalizing. Then the large ones are going to finish losing their water and they're all going to come to equilibrium. So you're not going to over dry the small ones. They're just going to get drier sooner than the large ones.
Gotcha. That's good. It's good to know that. Yeah. So adding the sponge, some people ask me, like they're all the time asking me, what are you adding that sponge in for? And I know you went over like the rate at which moisture leaves your product is very important. And that sponge helps to stabilize the environment inside there pretty much.
Yes, particularly if you're in the winter in a dry climate, or it could be the summer out in Arizona. Every time you open the door, you're going to watch the dew point in there drop like a rock. And so when you close the door, you don't want to rehydrate the box from whatever moisture is in the flour. You're going to over dry it. So the sponge becomes the source of water to rehydrate the box and get everything back to equilibrium in the box.
And I do want to mention that it does, I forgot to put my sponge in before and it came up a big red warning, add water. And it was pretty.
Yeah, I like that. I like that it has that because like sometimes we do get forgetful and it's alerted us to that. That's a very nice feature. I like.
Thank you. You know, it's we check our sponge about once a week in our boxes, make sure they're damp. It's sort of like, you know, part of the ritual of watering your flowers.
Yep.
You know, check the sponge.
Some of the other, excuse me, whew, man, that was a big hit there. Let me see, some of the other stuff that I have here. Some of the stuff that I have here for you is whenever I spoke with you guys before, you and your wife, and shout out to your wife. She is a wonderful liaison. She's there, yeah, and I wasn't sure if she wanted us to shout her out. Hello, Mary Jane, thank you for coming as well. And she's been very, very helpful in answering questions, and I know I've bugged you many times, and she's just the aces. So thank you for everything, and for coming. So I wanted to ask you, you guys you mentioned testing that you had done, because I gotta say, when we first, shout out to my friend Chef OMJ. He's the one that first brought your technology to our attention at Cocoa for Cannabis chat room. And when I first saw it, the first thing I thought of was freeze dryer and expensive and not for me, you know. And the more I had a ruined cure, and I looked in the corner and I saw all them jars. I'm thinking, really, is it that expensive? There's $2,000 worth of product sitting there that you don't even want to smoke because it's summertime and it didn't cure well. So I put it off for a while. And then we went ahead and
well, I was in his ear quite a bit. You know, when I first saw your product, I was blown away. I thought, if this product does what it says it can do, then we'll never have to worry. We'll be able to put it in there and go on a day trip to the lake and not have to worry. And the stress that we were going through after every grow was taking some of the fun and joy out of the grow for me. So you know, I was like, we could really get rid of all these problems.
Yeah.
And
so whenever this guy showed us the unit, Chef OMJ, I went to your website and looked, and I read it, and it said it had these numbers up there, and I'm thinking, boy, those are some really bold claims, man. You know, and sure enough, when I came to you guys and asked you about it, you had a story about. You even told me the strains that you guys test and everything. So I was wondering if we could go over that a little bit. how you grew it, what you tested, and some of those parameters.
You know, I'm going to turn that over to Jane because she was more involved in that process.
So when we did that testing, that grow was done by an independent grower. We felt like it was really important to have someone, not us, doing growing and testing. So we had a local grower here in Vermont, VT Organic Cannabis, very well respected grower. We had him grow some blueberry muffin and Humboldt seed blueberry muffin, and he took it and he dried it and cured it in the Cannatrol. I think he did I believe it was a 30-day run in the box, and then he also did it in his own dry room. So that he's been using for years and years.
Right, his conventional curing methods.
Plant.
Right.
Yep. So absolutely. So it was same plants. So we took samples off of both plants. They were put in the conditions in the Cannatrol and in his dry room. And then after 30 days, we sent it down to a local testing company, Northeast Processing, down in Brattleboro, Vermont. And we had them run the test. The samples were blind. Results came back, and we were all blown away. Even he was blown away. The grower, he's like, I was a skeptic. I did not believe what you guys were telling me, and now he's a convert. So we continue to do testing. We now have units set up all over our production floor, and we've got an R&D unit, a commercial unit, and DC4 running, and we're constantly running tests to try to validate our own data, learn new things, we're always trying to learn more about trim style and, how much of the stem should we cut off? How much should we leave on? Should we hang it? Should we put it on racks? So we're constantly testing to try to find and understand what's happening here. And we're about to enter into some testing with, I think out in Berkeley, out in California. Between UVM and Berkeley, we're going to be doing some testing on what's actually happening chemically and at the molecular level to understand why we're getting this level of terpene retention. So that's going to be some pretty exciting data. We probably won't have results for quite a while, but we're excited to kind of get down to that level of science and really start to understand at the chemical level what's happening.
The science that we're now digging into is called kinetics. And that's what's happening at the molecular level, because anecdotally, everyone's saying, we're sealing in the terpenes. And we know that because people complain that, our flower doesn't smell. And we say, well, that's a good thing because you're retaining the terpenes. If you smell it, that's what you're losing. And then if you take one of the flowers and break it open, that's when you really experience the terpenes. So we've heard different, they're being shellacked with the oils from the plant. It has to do with the free available water activity. We want to really dig into what's happening, how mechanically are these terpenes being sealed in, what's the science behind it. So we're working on that now, going to start a project.
Well, I know one of your sayings or quotes is "science matters," and I really love that. I'm a firm believer in science, and
this is groundbreaking.
Yeah, this is
it's huge for the cannabis community.
Yeah, it is, and my friends know
a
that
game changer for real.
My wife and I have been very, very big on trying to spread the word on this, and a lot of that is just because when you find something that works this good, because I'm a stubborn guy, Dave. I'm one of these guys. I always tell people I'm from Missouri. You got to show me, and I'm really not. But even when it comes to growing techniques, my wife and I have been growing for over 7 years, and it's hard for us to change things, that we've been doing and working. And the curing was the one thing that we used to always hit or miss, and it was like cross your fingers and hope.
And it really was hit or miss.
So, and I think a lot of people don't like to admit that, man. It's like it's, I don't know if it's just a pride thing or what, but it doesn't, it's hard here in the Pittsburgh area for, there's big swings in your environment that it's too hard to get on top of right away. Yep. Unless you're sitting in there with it like
like it's a baby and you have to watch it or whatever, you know.
So when you come across a technology like this,
yeah.
you wanna shout it from the rooftops and tell people.
I wanted all of my Grow Me friends that, I wanted them to have one of these machines so that they could try and see for themselves. You know, I'm not.
It's all the work that you're putting in.
It's legit. It really does work exactly as it claims, and that is a wonderful in this cannabis community, because I know that there are people out there that are shysters, and they'll go after the community because, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's a target.
One thing I wanted to ask you was how precise when the door's closed, what kind of precision does this thing, is it able to keep? You know, like is there a parameter there that you have?
When we bench test all of these for several days, and we'll have 24, 36 of them lined up on the benches, and you'll walk up and down the rows and they'll all be within a couple of tenths of a degree, both in dry bulb and dew point of each other. And you'll see that if you have it in, you know, a room that's, you know, in the low 70s, high 60s, you're going to see your dew point and dry bulb be within a few tenths. Now, when you first load it with wet flower, of course, the dew point's going to skyrocket, and it can take 2 to 3 days to come into line. And the analogy there is, you know, when you pull the drain on the bathtub, the water doesn't just disappear. It takes time to drain. And that's the same thing that's happening in the box. You're, you know, pulling the water out of the flower, and you can only get it out so fast. You can pull it out faster, but, you know, there's anecdotal that when you dry a flower too fast, you get a hay smell and harsh smoke.
Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. You know, you mentioned about getting the science behind what's holding your terpenes in and all that. I often thought about this too. I've sat here and wondered, like, what's going on in there that's all that different that really makes this. And I think it was a good friend, Weed Nerd here, and myself also. We've looked at buds before that we've cured in traditional method after they were dried and cured, you know, just checking terps and shit, or I'm sorry, just checking trikes and shit, and just seeing, you know, the overall build of a bud and all that, how it changed. And I noticed that a lot of the trichomes would be like folded a little bit and laying down, and their heads weren't quite as big as they once were when it was fresher. And I noticed whenever we put our buds in the Cannatrol and we pull them out and look at them under a microscope, it looks like the trichomes are much more preserved, I guess you could say, in a way. They don't really shrink as much or fold over. Now, granted, wherever it was laying on the tray or whatever there, it's going to be a little messed up, but all in all, they look much more intact and undisturbed. And I think that's where we're getting the extra terps from. I don't know how it's working. My mind automatically went to the ceiling door, the VPD pressure kind of maybe helping to preserve that wax outer coating. But again, I'm no scientist. I like to sit here and daydream sometimes and kind of walk down rabbit holes. But I think that the way the door seals and shit, all that shit together with the vapor pressure is doing something. And I like the kinetics that you're getting into. I would definitely look forward to following up with some of that science and trying to get my head around a little bit of it.
You can't argue with science too when you put it out there. It's
not like that. It's
Yeah.
got a so I wanted to ask you guys are you said earlier you ship to other places other than US and Canada, correct?
Yes.
We do. In fact,
Okay.
we have we just signed on a distributor in Australia.
Awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful. We have
Awesome.
some friends in Australia, and that's going to be good news for them.
Yeah, congratulations
Yep,
to you
so,
guys.
yeah, so they no longer have to go through the customs process and the duties and the taxes. You know, and
Awesome.
it's like $800 to ship it to Australia. So now, you know, they can get it right there. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're hoping to get some set up with some distributors in Europe as well, so we can get some inventory out in the EU, and so people don't have to pay these massive shipping rates anymore.
I'd like to take 1 second and screen share a slide. Give me 1 second here to pull it up. Here we go.
Sure. We got some questions here in the chat. Some people were asking too. We'll get to. I want to let chatters know I do see your questions, and I'm going to try to get back to them. And thank you for coming.
I think this sums up what we were just saying.
I think our screens must be lagging a little bit. There you go. That's awesome. That's a great, that's a
I
great
thought you meant like that.
quote. Yes, Dave Sandelman. You can't fuck with physics. I love it. I love it. I'm going to use that quote. You should be putting that on the side of your stickers on the Cannatrol.
New slaps are
Love it.
coming.
New slaps coming. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned earlier, I think it was maybe off air, we was having a small conversation. You said something about power failures, and I thought it was pretty cool that people would find, because that's something that we often deal with in the cannabis cultivation, is that power failures can really throw things off with your photo period plants, and timers and stuff. So that's something that we all have to be wary of and try to have a redundancy for. So I wanted to ask you to maybe, is there anything in play for power failure with the Cannatrol?
So, the best answer is it only draws about 60, 65 watts. So a standard computer UPS will keep the thing going for some time.
Awesome.
But if you don't have one, when you lose power, when power resumes, the timers for the dry and cure cycle pick up from where they left off.
That's a nice feature. And
I love
65,
that.
yeah, 65 watts, that's an old school light bulb,
So if you had a generator or a backup generator, you could run it pretty easily.
Well, like he said, you could even use your computer if you really, if obviously.
UPS, yeah, simple UPS there.
I
And
never really
60
thought
watts
of that.
ain't much, so it'll last a while too. It's good.
That is good. Let's see here. We got we went over pretty much a good bit of this. I wanted to mention that I have personally put hash and keef in my Cannatrol, and it seemed to work really good. It wasn't a whole lot, and but it held it for a long time because I didn't have really anything in there. And so for about a month, it held it, dried it perfect, and it's still going strong today. I have it currently in a jar in a cool, dry place, but yeah, our Cannatrol is empty there. We had it unplugged and we're out of town for a while and stuff. So we got it felt good to get it back out and put the light on and stuff. And I can't wait to get it filled up again. Another question I had here for you, Dave and Mary Jane, was some people, this is something that people bring up because it is a costly a product, for a lot of us. Like, I'm a construction worker, I had to save up and buy my Cannatrol, and it was well worth it. And I would buy it 3 more times, and I look forward to getting more of them. But I did talk to your wife off screen, and she mentioned some things that I thought were good to go over about where you source your products from and how you treat your employees and things. And that all has a cost, in the end. And I think it's cool if people know where their money's going. You know what I mean? It's like your wife actually said, I believe her words were, people probably think we're super rich or something over this, but we have all these expenses, and it was like good pay for your workers and sourcing your materials from America and things. So I wanted to give you a chance to maybe explain that or touch on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, we buy as much local here, made in the States, as possible. We then bring all the components into Vermont, and we're putting all the labor, all the work goes into this. We're hiring all local people to do the assembly, packing. Our circuit boards are assembled in New Hampshire. Shelves until recently were all made in New Hampshire. The whole assembly of the unit is being done in Vermont. We've got a small team of people, handcrafted, and we treat them well. They got health insurance and vacation days, and they make a good living. So that all goes into the cost of making one of these, and the time and effort and the pride that goes into it.
Right. And you guys are still considered, I guess, a startup company. If I could be wrong there, but I know you're not, you haven't been around forever, but I think that it's good that people know that, you guys aren't just scumbags trying to fatten your wallets. You're
No.
taking care of your, I'm serious. I mean,
No,
I hate to be blunt, but that's how, a like my wife said, there's a lot of unscrupulous people that take advantage of the cannabis dollars, and it used to happen a lot in lighting. And I think people, when they see a new product, that's one of the first things they think of. And so it's important.
Yeah, they can be leery, and
right. It's important that I think that they find out that this is a family-owned company. They treat their employees well. They're sourcing their materials from here. It's not coming from China, things of that nature.
Exactly.
That's important to me anyhow.
And all you have to do is do a little research and a little digging. Like Smott and I just, our friend showed us this product and we did a little more digging and, found out a little bit about you guys. And
yeah,
I wanted one from the very first start, but the size, we weren't like sure. One thing we did for people out there that may be looking into doing is we made a scale model according to your specs on your website to see how big this was going to be, how much, like what size are we looking at? Because Smott was like, that seems like a lot of money for a microwave. I'm like, I'm thinking it's a little bigger than that. Let's make a scale model.
For some reason in my head, I was thinking it's like a large microwave size. I don't know. I guess it was back to the freeze dryer. When I first saw it, I thought of a freeze dryer, So whenever she actually did this, she went and got cardboard and taped it together. She put it up against the wall and she goes, there's the size it would be. And I was looking, I'm like, excellent. Oh man, we can work with that for sure, And so that's when it kind of, so credit to my wife because she really pushed me and then one day I woke up and was like, I'm getting it. But I think it was important to operation costs are expensive for this machine. And it's not just, some fly by night, they'll be gone tomorrow. One big aspect that's important to me and a lot of people who are like me is communication with the people that my money's going to. If somebody needs to get a hold of Dave or Mary Jane, they're very accessible. They make that quite public. They've been available for me. They was available for Weed Nerd. And I think David wanted to go ahead and tell people the best way to get a hold of him, whether you have questions, whether you own a unit and want to, get some information or whatever. Definitely, Dave, you want to tell them how they can get a hold of you the best way?
Yeah, the best thing is, pick up the phone and call us. And it's not just me. There's a whole bunch of people in the office. There's Ed. He's an passionate grower, and he'll wind up on the phone with someone half hour, 45 minutes, not just talking about drying, curing, but trimming and nutrients and lighting. And, we kid ourselves. We're sort of like the Butterball hotline at Thanksgiving, except for cannabis harvest. So comes harvest time, everyone's calling us up with questions about how to trim their flower. When is the time to cut it down? And we're happy to take the time and talk to people. So it is Ed, it's Jackie, not just Jane and I, but we've got, a whole group of people all passionate about it. And what we want to encourage people is don't DM us on social media. It is really hard to get into a worthwhile conversation on the keypad on a phone. Just pick up the phone, call us, and we'll take the time and talk with you.
I think that's pretty great. In today's day and age, it's hard to call any company out there and get a hold of a person, let alone the actual inventor or someone who's very close to them, like your other technical people there that you were talking about. And I think it's cool that you, I can see that when Croptober comes around, everybody's calling down. You'll have to get a hotline and it'll look like one of those old,
I think it's important to customers, like, it's not only worth the money just having the product, the return on investment alone, but you have someone that is built this thing with made in America products, good to their employees and accessible. That's one of the things I like most about you. You're very personable. This product is awesome. And I would like to tell people, it's very sleek. I would like to put this, if it was legal in my state, I would have this in my kitchen on my countertop. It would match my countertop so beautifully. I could just see it's very sleek. It's a nice piece of machinery.
It's in my kitchen and right in front of my fridge.
I want it in my kitchen.
Everybody compares it to a wine fridge. So think about it. Other than, he mentioned it does look like one. Well, a lot of people have a wine fridge right in their kitchen. You can go there. So why couldn't you walk up and grab a big fat nug that's been maybe sitting in there for, a nice while. It's cured perfect. And there you go, man. So I look forward to that day. I wanted to ask, when I ordered mine, it was kind of like during the COVID thing, and there was a delay. Can anyone still expect a delay? I think we were said it was a month delay, but it ended up only being a 2-week delay back then. But I think things might have smoothed out since then. I just wanted to ask for anyone who might be.
We have not been out of stock since then. They've always
Okay.
been on the shelf, and we ship them that day, the next day, depending on, how backed up we are with UPS. But 2 or 3 days is the longest lead time. Very often they'll ship that day, the following day.
If we can, Dave, I was gonna go ahead. We're gonna jump on my wife's phone here, and I wanted her to go in and maybe we were gonna try to work this out here. I was gonna show the tray and how it drips and how I changed mine. Is that all right? And I think I
Go
called
for
you.
it.
Yeah.
You and I talked about this, and let me kill this feed here. You guys give me 1 second. I'm gonna kill my stop my video here. All right, and then we'll try to get my wife to start hers, and I'll let her in. And yeah, I was going to go ahead and show an up close of the Cannatrol, and I was going to go maybe over the box and some of the stuff that's in there. So once she comes in, all right, let me mute myself here, and I'll be right back.
Connecting to audio. He's coming.
All righty, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're
Yes,
good.
we can.
Righty, so we have to start video here. All right, so here we go. So here's our Cannatrol. It's currently empty. You can see that there's the fans that we were mentioning earlier. That's the one down low. There's the one up high, and then there's one actually in
You
the
know what? Try the blue light off and turn the light on the camera on,
Okay,
because the blue is really hard to see on the screen.
thank you for saying that.
No, yeah, much better.
Let me see if I can get
I don't know if you can get to the light there through the app, but
no, but I can
No,
turn
Just
it.
want to make
we
one
could see better though.
One
It's-
comment. Just want to make one comment. The newer units we're shipping now only
Yeah.
have a single fan. It has more capacity than the 2 fans in the unit you currently have there.
Okay,
So the one equals the 2.
I
Oh,
Also,
got you.
there's just one big fan in the back instead of 2 little ones like that.
Instead of 2 on the latest version we're shipping, yes.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then there's less, that freezing issue because it's only one single unit that's monitored, 1 fan unit versus the 2. So if they're a little out of
Yes.
balance,
Okay.
And then
always trying to improve.
yes, perfect. That might be a little more light there for you. You can see that. And then I believe
There's a
There's
quick
a-
fix for that frosting too there. It's not that big a deal.
this fan on the bottom also, it blows down, right?
That's correct. We didn't want it blowing up on the bottom shelf. So we're
Right.
pushing the air down and then up along the sides, the walls to help
Yeah.
circulate air through the space.
I'm gonna go ahead and set this down for a second and turn the Cannatrol to the side, if I can, so I can see the back where the tray should go. All right, let's see if I can get in here. So down here on the back of the Cannatrol, I'll show people in reference where I'm going down here. There is a tray that goes in down here. I don't know if you can see that really good. There's a little hose. I'm sorry if you can't see that. But anyhow, this tray hangs in the back there. And this is what catches water. So you would take this tray off and empty it every so often. And so what we've learned is, as you can see, we've put ours up on a table here, and out of that hose that would drip into this tray, I went ahead and bought myself a piece of this. I believe this is 1/2 inch. Would this be 1/2 inch, Dave, to fit over top of that one? I think it's 1/2 inch tubing.
Probably.
Yeah, just clear tubing. And every so often, Cannatrol recommends that you take the duster and blast through. I like to blast through this hose as well as up inside the hose in there. Some maintenance. It comes with locks, so you'll get keys to lock it up. And you can see right there's a lock. So if you have small ones around, if you're using it for a display piece or if it's in a business or something like that, you can lock it. And then, yeah, so the pitfalls of overloading this machine, can we go over some of those? I know that I know myself, I've overloaded this machine because I'm stubborn, Dave. I always have to learn things the hard way, it seems like. And so I've overloaded before, and I got some frost on the back of my fan back there. And what I did was I opened it up for about a half hour and it kind of thawed out, and I shut it. And it seemed it was pretty good, but I had it so packed. I had every shelf in here and it was touching from one to the next. And and one thing that we didn't do that we have done since then is when we harvest, we hang our plants for one day. And then we put them in the
Very
machine.
helpful.
Yeah, we hang them for a day, put them in the machine. But I did get some frost on the back of mine. So if that happens, so I guess someone can just open their machine up. Now, is there anything wrong with maybe squirting warm water on it or trying to hit it with like a hair dryer or something?
Hair dryer could be a little aggressive.
Okay.
Usually you just open the door in about 10 minutes, it's defrosted and you're good to go.
Yeah, okay. And that's all, like I said, it's from us overloading it. I know it's 2.2 pounds. So I wanted to tell people, like, if you have a nice harvest and you want to get it in here, hang your plant for a day or two, and then you can put some in here and keep an eye on the humidity, the dew point, and all that stuff, and keep an eye on your fans and just don't overload it, because it will. And there's if you overload it, it can't control it, and you could get mold. Is that right, Dave? I mean, if there's too much moisture, it can't handle it. You're putting yourself at big risk. So
no different than coming up to the quarry with your half-ton truck and getting a ton of stone dropped in the back.
That's right. I want to make sure people know the pitfalls, because I know myself, I was like, it did so good. We had a nice load in there and it did so good. So I pushed it a little further, and that's when I noticed that
But like you mentioned, since then we've gone along with hanging it for a day, and that's a pro tip that we got from your book when you sent your book with our unit.
Yes. All right. So we appreciate that. But anyhow, I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to see it, the size of it a little bit, and see some of the stuff that comes with it, how you could change it. So if you wanted it to drip into, I drip mine into like a big pitcher, and that way, if you want to leave for a while, you can actually let it fill up. But one thing that you have to realize is you have to elevate it at least like a foot or whatever the size so it runs downhill. I know that seems pretty obvious. One thing I've learned is not to give society too much credit for having common sense. So you must say it, right?
So that comes back to this slide here that we all have to read again. If you put the milk jar on top of the box, it's not going to drain.
Watch that glass. It's a mirror.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm in my pajamas.
You almost did a
Got some
reveal there,
questions?
Smut. And there's one thing for the menu, because I haven't changed the defaults yet, because I haven't had to really, or it just works perfect. But I noticed that there's an option there when you go into the transition. There's a slope option, but I haven't messed with that. What are the options in that menu that would?
Instead of abruptly changing from the dry setting to the cure setting, it slowly changes between the two
That's why
set
he
points
said,
over the time.
you turned around and got all the modes and everything. I'm like, what is she doing? I hadn't turned it off and run over. I'm like, what are you doing?
I didn't realize I did.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes some echo. All right, I think we're good. So yeah, so okay, so you can decide to have it slope from one setting to the next instead of going
Exactly.
abruptly.
Instead
Okay,
of abrupt change.
perfect. And that's based on the day setting, right? Like if you
Yes.
have 4 days dry, 4 days cure, it'll slope between them.
Yep. Yep.
Nice.
It takes the difference in the temperatures, divides it over the however many days, and that becomes the slope between the 2 points.
Awesome.
I don't know how many
Maybe
kids.
one day I'll play with it.
Do I have one? Is there only one feed for me?
Yeah,
You guys here just it? Okay.
the one
I
facing
got
the
it.
troll there.
I'm trying to turn it one camera off without it bleeding into the other one. See how this is, Dave? I'll try to be, I'm not very tech savvy when it comes here. You'll have to excuse me, but yeah. All right. So we're back down to where we're at. And you got to ask your question about the step down.
Yeah, we're good.
One thing I wanted to do was I was going through this book and I noticed, and this seemed to jump right out at me. When you first get your Cannatrol and you open up the guidebook that comes with it, what do I call this? The user
manual.
User manual, yeah.
User manual.
It says unpack, setup, and care. I want to stress to people, it's important that you read that. It says it in big red that you must plug in the display box to the back of the unit before you plug it in. I don't know what would happen if you didn't, but I remember when I read that, I was thinking, boy, I'm glad I'm one of those people that take the time to actually like kind of browse through here, you know?
Always read the manual.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Some
So
people just chuck it. That's the worst thing you can do.
yeah, that could be bad.
Kids don't read the manuals. What are you talking about?
When things don't work and then you go read it.
Yeah. What's all these extra screws for? No, it's pretty much it's a plug and play, ready to go kind of a system. And it seems the manual is very straightforward and I think it
does a cool light show the first time you turn it on though.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm like, oh man, it doesn't do that all the time, does it?
And
well, I'm not going
sometimes
to be able to sleep with that, but that's just the first initial turn on there. I turned it on at night for some reason, and that's what I saw there. So,
I like at the back of the book here, it has water loss in the dry cycle and has a graph. And then it also has a relative humidity as a function of temperature and dew point. And it also has a graph for that. And I think that kind of goes back to some of the stuff that Dave was pointing to earlier with his, with some of his points earlier about those. And it's a nice handy guide that you can go to. Other than that, I wanted to mention the hose drip and how that's actually helped us out without having to be, because that little tray can fill up pretty quick, in the first day or so there. And so it was nice to be able to put that hose down, but you do want to make sure that it's stable and that it's not going to fall off. And you want to make sure that you have it elevated and have it down into a cup where it can fill up, and you'll be good to go. But I think that we pretty much went over all the aspects that I kind of had laid out for David and Mary Jane. I didn't know if Puffy or Weed Nerd had any other questions. We could maybe ask a few. I seen a couple in the chat, but I'm not sure if they happen to be answered. I was kind of trying to wait so that I wouldn't double step on all the questions. I think one of them was do you have any parameters? I guess you kind of went over this. Somebody was asking what outside the box, how hot can it be outside the box and how cold can it be outside the box before it starts to interfere with how it works inside? Like, would it be good to buy this if you live in the desert, Yeah,
we like to see the box somewhere between plus or minus 10 degrees to the 68. So 80 would be the high end on, warm. On the low end, probably around 50. So 50 to 80 degrees off the top of my head. I also like to point out that we do have larger boxes. The next size up for commercial, where this takes a little over 2 pounds. Our commercial kit takes 160 to 180 pounds. But that would be for a commercial grower. And then we go up from there with kit sizes, because I thought I saw a question about commercial application.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
160. Okay, cool.
And we also do custom build outs and retrofits of existing commercial spaces. So we do a lot of large scale work as well. Same technology.
Awesome.
And that smaller commercial unit, that's the 8x8, is it?
It's a 4x8 and
4
9
by 8.
feet high, and it takes about 180 pounds of wet flour. So you'll get about 36 pounds of dry flour coming out of there.
Nice. I saw you guys
Wow.
incorporated the hanging racks as well there for those who love to hang.
Yeah, we do hanging and we do trays, either way. Yeah, we have a lot of commercial, they prefer to hang in a small format like this box. It's tough to hang and get a whole lot in there. And if you
Yeah.
find that you get a little bit of a flat spot, what a lot of people do is a day or two in, they'll just rotate their flowers, flip them over, and it alleviates that issue.
Oh, nice. I don't mind it. It's all the same to me.
I want to tell.
It's sort of like food, you know.
Exactly. It's cosmetic, and to be honest, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I wanted to tell people, somebody was in the chat asking if I could show where to spray the air hose in, and I wanted to tell them, please look forward to, I'm going to get a short video put up on our YouTube about how we do that and a little bit more detail on some of that and how we hook up that hose and stuff. I sometimes take it for granted that we just throw that together. I think other people want to see exactly what it is. So I'll get that up there pretty soon. And yeah, I wanted to tell everybody, if you decide to go to Cannatrol and order your own unit, you can help fund our shows and our the things we try to do to advance knowledge for other people and spread the good word and just be a part of good Gromies in the community. So you can use code 50SMOT and save yourself some money. And my wife will put a link up in the chat, and that link will take you right to Cannatrol's. And if you're interested, go check them out. Like Dave said, you can give him a call, ask him questions, and I'm always open for questioning. I'm sure Weed Nerd answers a lot of questions about his. And it's nice to be able to have other people be able to use a tool that can really preserve all the work that you put in, the care of picking a strain, buying a good light, taking the time to cultivate, mix soil. I mean, you put all
heart
this
and
work
soul into it.
Yeah.
We do anyway. We really do. And
Yeah.
this is the peace of mind that I get from your product has such value to me.
Yes.
You know, to get a good night's sleep during the cure process
I agree with that 100%.
It's just so awesome.
Yeah, this is
Because I'm a stressor. I can't help it. I just, I
Mhm.
look at the, all the fun and all the, the beauty of the plant and how everything just went so perfect and how it all can go bad
Yeah.
in the end because we just can't get it together. Your product is my favorite accoutrement in the grow.
It has been, yep. Since I found lighting and good lighting, that was a big boost. But since then, this is it. This is the thing that's really topped off our grows and took us from growing medicine to growing great medicine, to growing medicine that I enjoy, that I would want to share with people. And it's like you end up knowing that if it comes out of there and it's not that great, it wasn't something that you did in the cure. It ended up being genetics or something, along the grow. But it takes that aspect away. And, one thing I like to say.
I love that. Yeah, that's right. Because now I can test strains and really know, because it's scientifically cured in the sense that it's always going to be the same setup. Right. There's no variables there. So for me, that's a big plus as far as evaluating, grow methods or different things for terps or whatever, because I know my cure is always going to be the same.
Yeah.
But to me, that's worth a lot.
Yeah. And you said that you have the amount of units that you have out there, we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're all getting these good results across the board. But best bud that we've ever cured and grown. And I'm thinking back to the strains that we had that we did get right in the cure process by luck of being able to control our environment and the time of year we cured and dried. we didn't even do those strains justice because I
Right.
wish I could have had them in the Cannatrol. It does make that
Yeah.
big a difference. It really does.
I thought I did
Yeah.
great on my own till I tried the Cannatrol, and then I
Well,
realized, oh, okay. I
I'd
know
like
there's
to
room
add
for improvement.
something that happened with us on, we grew a Jelly Bean and an Acapulco Gold side by side in tent, 2x4 tent. After took both plants down, put both the Jelly Bean, Acapulco Gold in a unit. And about 8 days later, the Jelly Bean was a favorite as always. It was really good. The Acapulco Golds we tried, and being a bit of a snob, said, you know what, this is disgusting. Let's throw it away. And Jane said, no, let's leave it in there for a while. And 4 weeks later, it became a new favorite. So we
Oh, yeah.
actually saw a variety that, you know, coming out of the gate wasn't good at all. What to our stand wasn't acceptable. But after 4 weeks, Secure became a winner.
Yeah, I've had a few like that were nasty smelling and just all of a sudden developed and turned into this beautiful pink kush. It's like, oh my God. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah, you put in the time. If you can be patient and you can put in the time, that machine delivers every time.
Well, one thing I notice is that a lot of people will come to me and say, or you know, when you're on these shows or you're talking to people, they'll say, well, this is what they do, or like de-leafing or fertigation or newts. This is what they're using in commercial grows. This is what they're doing in commercial grows. Well, guess what? The new thing now, commercial growers are starting to wise up and realize that all that initial, you know, just getting to harvest is only 2/3 of the battle. Putting your product consistently on the shelf is a whole nother thing. And
A
I
good
know
product.
Cannatrols have, Dave and Mary Jane have told us that I think one of their biggest units ever were sold right here in Pennsylvania. But a lot of these, they're starting to sell a lot of units to a lot of big commercial companies because they realize that the consistency and you're going to get the best product you can about what you have. I'd like to, my friends, I like to think that our friends of the show know that we don't recommend stuff that isn't, you know, I don't hold near and dear to my heart that I think is an actual good investment. So
That we haven't tried ourselves.
and this is one thing that you won't regret. So for sure, definitely check it out. And if nothing else, hopefully you learned today some parameters about why relative humidity is tough to control when you're doing, you know, your cure at home. If you can't afford a Cannatrol at the moment or whatever, hopefully you learn some physics. And as Dave says from Cannatrol, you can't fuck with physics.
Which is true.
It is true.
And with these big units going to these big grow operations, they're getting to the street, they're getting to a shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough to be able to just try the bud coming out of that Cannatrol, if you know someone that has one,
Yeah.
just, you know, you just see for yourself. It's
one time, and you know what else, Dave?
you're
Out of
just-
all the hundreds of people, and I'm telling you, I bet it's at least been 100 people that have contacted me in one form or fashion. They're on YouTube, Cocoa for Cannabis, Instagram, other chat rooms on other shows, people asking me questions. Not one person, and this is the God's honest truth. And like I said, people kind of, you know, they know that we don't bullshit. Not one person has come back and said, I wish I wouldn't have bought that thing, or it hasn't lived up to what it said. I cannot think of one person. The only negative thing I've ever heard was one person said they're still getting black ash off of their joints. And I don't know what that, I didn't
What
have
that
any answer.
means.
Yeah, I was like, I have no idea how that equates to the Cannatrol, but literally I'm trying to be honest. That's the only negative comment I've heard. And I haven't had that problem. I don't know what they're doing
Gotta
with
be
it.
nutrient
Well,
toxicity.
that
or
can go
something,
back
right?
to the nutrients. It can
Yeah.
go back to the genetics. There's a lot of things along the way
They
before
could be
you
rolling
get
it
there.
up in newspaper and smoking it for all I know, and it gives them a black ash or a blunt or something. Who knows? But
Good point.
you know, who knows? But other than that, I'm serious. Like none of these people have ever come back, and it does my heart good to know that we're representing something that's well made, you know, paying good wages and benefits to good Americans and all that. And it's just all around positive thing. We appreciate what you do in the community and how you're willing to come out here and put yourself out on the line and answer questions. And, really, like you said, it's not a smoke and mirrors product. And I like the fact that you're accessible at your company and you're forthcoming and all that stuff's positive. So that's what we need in this community. So we thank you for your time and shit. And like I said, you're welcome to hang out as long as you want. We're going to go ahead and smoke down and bullshit about whatever. And
All right.
yeah. So
Thanks
what do
for
you
having
guys,
us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
you're very welcome. What are you guys smoking on up there?
Oh, boy, we have a whole library in our Cannatrol right now. We're smoking on some wedding cake this morning, so pretty good. It happens to be our 28th anniversary today, so we're
Oh my
all smoking on some
goodness,
wedding
it's a
cake.
celebration.
Well,
20.
congratulations. Awesome.
That's amazing.
So
Hey,
glad you can spend it with us.
I want to say who's the one that forgot whenever they was scheduling this with me that today was the
Yeah.
anniversary.
Blame Crispy.
Because if you're anything like me, Dave, I have hashtag blame it on Crispy because my wife, she's my big toe, man.
I'll take the blame.
She keeps me balanced and she takes the blame for a lot of stuff. And she lets me act tough in front of the fellas sometimes. So I love her to death.
Hey, at one point I was putting my foot down and saying, no more will I be blamed for this bad cure and this bad dry. We're getting a Cannatrol.
Yes.
We're getting one.
That is true.
And it was like right before my birthday. So it made such a great celebration. This is
awesome.
wonderful. Happy anniversary to
20
both of
thank
you.
you.
That's amazing.
28 years. We just passed 1 year, 7 years together, but 1 year married. Do you guys have any good tips for us? And I know that's a lame question. What's the number one tip?
Trust your partner.
Trust.
Yeah.
Yes, we do
Nice.
that very
Yes.
much.
Got to.
Bonnie and
Have
Clyde
to,
over
yeah.
here. That's awesome. you
What
guys.
Dave and I like to do is he does what he does and I do what I do, and we trust that each other are going to do the right thing.
Right. Everything's for the greater good of the whole, you know?
And what you've done for the greater good of the community. I just am in awe that you brought this product to us.
Yeah.
And I just
And you let us
You
be
know,
involved in it, man. You let us, it's just been fun. Yep.
I just want to say thank you so much. It's awesome that you're willing to put the science, the knowledge that you know, and just put it out there freely.
Yep.
To let us know how your product works.
Yeah. And what
It's-
you're getting. Yep.
and exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
And on your
You know what?
anniversary.
We really appreciate you guys, and we appreciate everybody that's using this product and giving us feedback. And we're in a constant state of trying to improve the product and do new things. So we appreciate all the feedback and we appreciate your support. You guys have been amazing. Seriously.
It's been fun putting the hash in there and the different strains and everything's just been coming out, and it's how can you not want to share that with your friends? But
I know.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It's awesome.
Cool. You guys enjoy the day.
you too.
Yeah.
You have a
Happy anniversary.
happy anniversary.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
awesome.
It's pretty apt that they're smoking wedding cake on their anniversary.
Yeah, I like
isn't
that.
it?
I really like that.
a lot. Well, that was a very, very fun interview, man. It was very informative. Kind of got down to
I'm
understand.
not surprised they have a big variety there, having a Cannatrol.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you have to test, man. And what they say,
Well-
they have a
Yeah.
line of he said he had like 20 of them lined up or something.
Yeah. I'd love to do that homework.
Yes. Yes.
No complaints. I'd be up
Doing the
bright and
test.
early every
Oh,
morning.
goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time
well,
to get to work yet?
fantastic day. Good.
Hell yeah.
So pretty much any questions that you didn't get answered, Puffy, I'm sure you would have jumped in there. You pretty much got all the info you needed.
No, I was all ears listening to it. I mean, most anything that I had any question about, he talked about. So,
Yeah.
like the room environment that you're going to have it in. Because I was thinking that whenever I get mine, I'm going to keep it right in here, with my tents and everything. But I keep it. I mean, if you notice, I'm wearing a hoodie, so I keep it pretty cool in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it'd just be a perfect environment to sit in if I just put it in here.
No,
Yep.
I would exactly. It's just the right thing.
I did want to,
Lung room works, right? Unless you're like really hot, but usually, you know, when you're growing, you want 70-ish, right? Input. So 65 even maybe. So like you're wearing a hoodie, you're probably under 70 right now, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting at 68 right now.
Yeah, there you go. So that's perfect for the Cannatrol. That's exactly what it sits at. So it's not struggling at all. Yeah.
And the humidity, I mean, the humidity doesn't even get over 50% in the lung room, so I'm all right there too.
Nice. Yeah, because me, I sit at what, 25 Celsius, so 80 at the most. I'm pushing it, you know, in the living room, but that's, you know, all AC if it gets over
Right.
Yeah.
24, I guess, because I, you know what I mean? I have to keep my lung room cool, and it goes, everything in here goes through, you know, so I freeze in the summer to keep my tents happy, you know what I mean? Because
I've-
that's to get through all, the whole living room to get from the kitchen to the lung room. So, man,
My Cannatrol's been sitting in a lung room that was about, I think the hottest I've ever had it on a regular basis was like 85. And I
Yeah.
didn't really want it that high, but that's where kind of like it just sat there for a while. And they had buds in it. It did
Did
fine.
it dry faster?
it was
It
still
did.
holding 68, right?
Yeah, it did. It was still holding 60. I think the
long as it
most
holds
I ever
that.
seen that go up to was 70, to be honest with you. And that was in them conditions. It kind of bumped up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think as it lost moisture over the days too, I thought in my head, is that helping to change some of that as well? But it seemed to do well in 85. Not that shit come out of there. That was the dosey-dose. It ended up coming out of there pretty nice.
Well, it's the thing. I think it's just 2 degrees more, so it just dried a little faster, maybe at
Right.
that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But that's
Maybe it
on the
wasn't
first day anyway, so you kind of
non-discernible to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think
it's nice to know that.
I'm gonna go ahead and get the extra shelves whenever I order mine. That way I can have more space in between the buds, you know, when I'm laying them out.
What's going on in chat there? Cheers to everyone who showed up, man.
Oh yeah, I'm
Cool.
just over here daydreaming. I'm
yes,
high.
thanks everybody
week
for coming
or-
and hanging out with
We
us.
got Oh, that's Buffy.
Professor Know-It-All, 420 weed course, guy
Oh, that's
overhead.
Prof. I gotta get my
Yeah.
glasses, man. What the hell?
Pelly Doc, Mitten Craft, Let's Be Buds. Cheers, Uncle Rick. Hey, Ron, 420, Rowdy.
Got the whole gang right on.
Yeah,
Cheers, gang.
Tiempo 67. It is nice to see everybody. Thanks for coming out. Outer Water. That's a cool name. Marcus Green Thumb, Special Chaos. Special K. Os. I like that. W Digger. Budweiser. That's Puffy's mate down that
Buddy
way.
there, yeah, yeah. Squiddy.
Budweiser's a good guy, man. Inside dope.
I saw
Squiddy.
Smiley earlier and Rowdy here. And
I saw the American one earlier.
Yes, sir. Cow.
Hey, you know what we can do is throw up the link, and if anybody wants to join us for this last 40 minutes or whatever, they can.
Yeah, man. Hop on.
Let me get it up there.
Or a
Not being
woman.
I'm not being a very good host here, am I?
I did want to say, when we were talking off air with Dave and Jane, I did ask them a question about our
Oh,
cranberry beans.
Yeah.
We're gardening cranberry beans. It's the first time, and we want to dry them out. And we did a little research on the internet, and they said to put them on a screen in a cool, dry place for a couple weeks. And I thought, why not just put them in the Cannatrol? Wouldn't that work too? And they said that I could try it, to drop the dew point a little bit. Is that what they
Yeah.
said?
To
That's
get a
what they
dryer
said
there,
that-
yeah.
Yeah, they said about they had people trying gummies, which I thought was very interesting. If you're out there making gummies and you want to get them, you know, you can store them or whatever. There are people that are doing that. And I just thought it was interesting. He said something about lemon or orange.
Oh, he said
have put
people.
in,
Oh, yeah, he
and
said people
it
were.
makes for a good drink.
Yeah, people were doing like. I in my mind I assumed cannabitters. Did he say that or no?
No, I don't think he did.
But you know, like dried oranges you would put in there. Oh, look, limonades here.
Unbelievable.
That is so
Oh,
awesome.
That's awesome. Haven't seen him for a minute.
Wow. That'd be cool. Ah,
Limo,
Lamo,
cheers.
what's happening, brother?
Talking to him in the CFC chat earlier this morning.
Oh, I want to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
people that our friend Limo is quite the grower.
Yeah, he's quite
Operates.
the contributor at CFC there. He's always
Oh
in chat.
my, yeah.
Limonene, it's awesome to have you here.
He's connecting with his audio. And I'm not sure. I won't say where he's located, but I think he's pretty much in a far different time zone than us. So it's going to be.
Good morning, good
Might be a
afternoon.
bit of
Yeah.
lag there, yeah.
It might be a bit of lag,
Um,
or it might be like really early or really late or something. So, but boy, that's pretty cool that
Yeah, it's probably evening there.
we was able to get some of those, and that was what he said about. I thought of our friend Berkshire Bud, huh? You guys know Burke makes those cannabitters, and I was thinking, wouldn't
Yeah,
that be
yeah, that's
cool?
what I was thinking when you said that.
He said when he said people dry orange and lemon slices in them, and he kind of chuckled. He said they look great in a in drinks, and I'm thinking that's the first thing I thought of. I don't, so that sounds pretty cool. But the gummies was something new. I never thought of
Yeah,
gummies.
I never thought of that either
Oh.
when he mentioned
We
that.
lost him.
Well, I hope he gets to come back on
We'll
because
try
it would be
again there.
awesome to chat with
Yeah.
him for.
I know on the PC
Yeah, his-
sometimes it can be weird with the audio there, and like you have to go in the
Yeah.
settings first, and or maybe
As,
even log into your Zoom account online to set the settings, and then you come back and you try it. Because there's an account settings like online, and there's the settings on the app. So it might be that.
Oh, I see in there. Hey, Prohibition, or you can jump on,
Oh,
man. Don't be shy.
Prohibition.
He said that's a good way to get. That's how you catch a wild Prohibition. Toss an open invite. That's what that invite's for,
Yeah, man,
man.
hop
We're like
on.
yeah, man.
all are welcome.
That's what that
We
Yeah,
link's
like to
everybody.
include everyone.
Huh.
Don't want anybody to feel left out. You're
Nope.
always welcome.
We don't care if
you
you
get an invitation.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
it-
121.
you are.
smoke a
fatty.
doobie. We don't care if you grow in soil, salt,
Oh, it's
or
still 20
cigarette
online.
butts. We don't care if you just a medicinal. You might not even grow. You might just
Nice.
smoke medicine.
Ah,
Maybe you're thinking
missed
about
it.
it and you just want to get all the information you can. We're glad you're here. And if
Yep.
you want to share your story,
We encourage
your
everybody to
garden
come
or-
on and share your garden, tell us your story about touring or anything else you might want to.
okay, well, I'm
Um,
sharing my garden then.
Let's do it.
yeah,
Man.
let's do it.
You have the co-host. You have co-host options, man. You can take over the screen anytime you want, brother.
Because I've been
Did I give them to you? Maybe I didn't give you co-host.
raining. Ah,
Oh yeah.
uh-oh. There goes the distributorship.
Well, your tent's looking real thin, brother. I don't think I've ever, since I've met you, seen your tent look that thin. It's
Oh,
like
mine's getting
frog hair thin, brother.
Getting bare. Let's see here. There's my window. There it is. Let's see the other one here. These ones are getting chunky. So those are the Scurvy Max. They're both the same, but they're not. You know what I mean? They're totally different. I love that.
Like it. Oh, that one in front there looks real. It looks like it's chunky
Oh, yeah.
hard. Is it hard?
Oh yeah, it's looking super dense there.
It has that. They all have that hard look, man.
I should have spread her because the lower branches are all right up against it, like super tight. I didn't spread it out. And I just assumed it would kind of hang on naturally, but no, man, they're all like tight together. I had to.
Uh-oh. Did I stop or did you
Craft. All right.
cut out on us for a second there, buddy?
What's going on? Oh, someone's coming in there.
Oh, Michigan Tent or MI Tent Craft.
Yeah. Let's
What
see
is
what's
that? Is that
going on.
Michigan? MI stands for Michigan or Missouri. Which one is it?
Michigan. Yeah, I think it's
Michigan Tent Craft.
Pretty sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll let them connect there while that's going on. So
I hope
yeah,
it
so
ain't-
those are the Macs, and then I got the other Mac is in the one you just saw there.
Yeah.
And then I got the Scurvies there. I can get the camera down here. And those are the Scurvy cakes. So they're a lot shorter.
Oh yeah.
and they're still in their 2-gallon pots here. But they're looking like they're going to be done the first ones to be done. So those are going to be the next ones to go in the Cannatrol. I've got like, I'm on my 3rd Cannatrol harvest there, nonstop. Like I empty it
Yep.
and put a new one in.
Yep,
It's the
that
3rd
thing's
one.
putting in work.
That's why it
dude.
looks so dirty. There's a bunch of crumbs on the bottom. That's just
Yeah.
from emptying the shelves there. Yeah. And so yeah, so that's the next one going in. And then if there's room, I'm gonna try and squeeze in that orange one there, the tall one, but I don't think I'll be able to. Maybe I'll take just the tops and let the bottoms kind of fatten up. We'll see.
Dude, that being able to move that camera around in your tent in
Yeah,
live.
I love that.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, man.
The QB there, I got from China.
Yeah, man. I need you to come over to my place and set it up.
Show how my setup is there with the pipe.
Yeah, but he needs to get a higher resolution camera to put in there too.
I do as well.
It's
Mine's-
1080p, but it's just not the greatest when there's no light, right? But when there's
Yeah.
light, it looks pretty crisp. It's not bad. There's my open fan there, my fan leaf shredder. Every time I'd lift that pot there, oops.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's
Scoot it over now. I don't lift it. But yeah, no, it's kind of handy. It's my eyes. I don't have to actually go to the tent.
yeah, that works out pretty good. You
I'm gonna
got
get
some nice buds ready to come off down there.
Yeah, I got 5 plants that are pretty much all going to be ready at the same time there. So I'm praying for a staggered harvest there, but I don't know.
Hey man, this is the second person that's having trouble connecting with their. You think it's something that I have going on? Did I do something wrong?
No, it's connected. Can you speak?
I don't see-
Tentcraft? You're not muted, but maybe it's not using the right audio. If you go in the settings and you pick the microphone, there might be more than one. If you're on a PC, I know I had like stereo mix too there and stuff like that. There was a bunch of different options. Pick the microphone, but if you're on the phone, I mean, there's only one microphone, so it might just be the permissions at that point. I think it asked you a question when it first booted up there, and if you said no, that might be why. Oh,
here we
Toasties
go.
is coming in. All right.
Toasties. Hey, I wanted to say cheers to the chat again, man. Sky overhead.
We'll see if it's just us or you know what I mean. If he can't get in, because I know he's been in before, so
It's us, man.
connecting to audio.
Nope.
There we
he's
go.
Good.
No, he's good. So it's got to be them there.
Yeah, it's working.
The
for
first
me.
time in,
Testing,
it's a little tricky
testing.
Yep.
with the permissions and all that there. Cheers, Toasties. How's it going, man?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Just feeling a lot better now.
All right, on.
I was sick all last week and a half ago. Something.
Oh, no, shit.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you're feeling better.
Had that
Yeah.
Rona, but I'm better now.
That thing's still going, huh?
Yeah,
Lovely
another,
girls will make you feel better for sure.
Oh yeah,
feel like-
another week and a half or 2 weeks, something like that.
How many weeks will that be total? That's a marathoner, huh?
No, not really. I mean, for flower, about 8 or 9, but
Oh.
yeah, the veg though took for freaking ever. This was a slow plant.
Okay.
It looks really full and nice and pretty and
Yeah.
all, but like that was like a 3-month veg to get there.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Stocky
that's
structure. Yeah, that's
for
good.
sure. I got yeah, right. But no, I got that's what these guys are, clones of that one. But this one I've been kind of letting go by the wayside. I haven't been paying attention. I just gave it some.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's just kind of there. But yeah, this is the other auto flower that flowered later. I took it
Nice.
out of there because it was just too much humidity with both of those, you know, fabric pots and the water and all that.
How's your soil coming on after the bokashi and all that? It looks like it's doing pretty damn good, huh?
Pretty good. I got something here that's like I don't know how to zoom in on this thing, and I don't want to go in the Faraday cage, but like you see my radishes are getting kind of like, oh, did I go all the way in?
Yeah, they got a little bit of yellow leaf there.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there, but that one's starting to do it too.
Oh, we need the
Yeah.
soil doctors in here, huh?
Yeah, that's where I shy away. It's like, oh,
Yeah. I
man,
mean,
you
I
know.
don't. I haven't kind of soil test. I hadn't done any kind of soil test or anything. That's what all these plants are, is basically a soil test.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty cool though, man. The other ones look like they're loving life, huh?
It's doing all right. I have something going on here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, but I was thinking it was a potassium thing, and I gave it some potassium salt stuff, that langbeinite stuff, and it seemed to do better, but then it started looking like it wanted some phosphorus too. So I put some bone meal in there, and I'm crossing my fingers that it's not too late. But I might wind up going synganic with that pot just to get it, whatever.
You
Nice.
still got to plant and vent too.
Oh yeah, it's by the wayside there. He wasn't kidding.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
in
mean,
the
that-
vent, literally.
Yeah, it's I potted it up. I got it in
How
a
did you?
yeah.
Potted it up.
Yeah, I did. I got potted it up about a
Got
week and a
enough
half
of it.
ago. Let's see. Let me get some.
So basically, you can have the pot outside the tent and just have it grow
And
out
just
through the
fold it
vent.
in. Oh, that thing's folded up like a
Yeah.
cheap suit, bro.
Awesome.
Yeah, but
It's
but
good
that's what
because it
it's
keeps
doing.
it keeps the jug out of out of the light.
Dude, it's
Out
very
of the
interesting.
light,
Clear
exactly.
mason,
I was
it's
having
all
a
right.
lot of problems with that because I was trying to keep clones alive, basically, and not like thriving, but like alive,
Yeah.
And I figure once I figure out what to do with them, I'll worry about them thriving better. But this one was kind of doing the same thing as that, but I got it in the dirt fast enough. It's really darkened up and really
Looking a lot
started.
better. I guess it's lacking a bit of newts in the water there or something. Are you putting anything in it? In the water?
I think the Faraday got us.
Oh, I thought it was me. My PC sometimes it just does hiccups there. It's weird. I got too many windows open.
No, I think that one's on toasties.
Yeah, those yeah. Faraday.
I
Oh.
think he's coming in.
It's coming
It's
back.
coming in hot.
All gonna come in at once and buffering. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Limo's back. All right.
That one's.
Limo.
Can
Lemonade.
somebody
Lemonade.
Can somebody let Limonene in?
Yeah,
man?
let him in there. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
trying to
cooking the
roll.
draw.
I'm trying to roll a blunt, and my wife's killing me an orange. It smells real good.
Something about that citrus, it can take you, the smells can
Mhm.
take you to a good place.
Let's see here. Okay, Limey, it looks like
Hey,
he's
Toasty's back. All right.
Yeah. It's gotta my Wi-Fi's gotta go around so many corners and drywall and shit as it is.
I think Limone's
Wow.
hooked up. So welcome to the show, Limone.
Thank you. Thank you. Good
Cheers.
to be here. It's Limonene, by the way.
Yeah, it's nice to hear your voice, bro.
I love it.
It's
Sure
nice
it
to
is.
hear your voice for the first time. Hi, Smart. Hi, Crispy. Hi, everybody. Hello, David, who's on mute. Very interesting product. I'll be contacting you in the week, I hope. But please go ahead. Don't let me interrupt.
No, that's awesome.
It's great to hear your voice.
I'd
man.
show you my ugly
We've been
mug as
seeing you for
well.
2 years there, but you know what I mean? I never heard your voice. So it's so cool.
I know. It's weird. I mean, I'd love to see you. I'd show you me, but I'm in Cyprus at the moment, and I've got some dodgy computer that I'm using that hasn't got a camera. It's just
No
got a
worries.
microphone. Otherwise, you'd see my what I look like. But
Well, that's okay. I'm hiding too, so don't worry about
That could be a future show. I'm just saying, it would be awesome to have you back again, and we're so excited to have you here now.
it.
yeah, it's good to be here. I mean, I always try and catch the show when I can. But obviously it doesn't work out because of time differences. But today especially was very interesting. The dry cure. I'm always fascinated by drying and curing technology because I've used so many different types of technologies to dry and cure. I've seen what's being done in this country, in Israel. I know it can be done a lot better because we have serious problems with temperature and RH fluctuations like you guys. So
Yeah.
You're definitely going to talk to David.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Just so everybody knows in the chat, like I'm very honored to have Limonene on here because he's been a mentor of mine for like 3 years, my wife and I.
Yes.
Ever since we've got on chat Cocoa for Cannabis there with Limonene. As he mentioned, he's in Israel, and hopefully it's okay I mentioned he takes care of large, massive grows, probably bigger than anybody else I know. And he's definitely, every time he speaks, I listen, and for a good reason. And I don't put my trust like that in very many people, but he's one of them. So for those people who are in the chat, I want to make sure they realize the treat they're getting here with this kind of someone with this much knowledge base. So cheers to you,
some
man.
nice pictures. Some
We
very nice
appreciate
pictures.
that, man.
I'll lift a glass to that. Wow, nice,
Absolutely.
nice, Puffy D.
Yeah,
Brian,
but I-
something new now.
I've been slacking.
Yeah, the drying and curing, man, has always been tough. So that's cool. You definitely get a hold of Dave. And remember, use code 50SMOT. Tell them that you're looking to. Yep.
Hey, you
Well,
can see
I'm
some-
actually looking. Honestly, because I know there's about I'd say about 200 farms here, and I know a lot of them. A lot of them could do with this sort of drying technology, because the classic way of drying and curing is very, very wasteful. We're talking about heavy duty air conditioning and dehumidifiers, and as you know, they work against each other.
Of course.
It's not very cost effective. It does an okay job. It does an okay job, but it could be so much better.
Right. And I think understanding the science behind it kind of helps us all, work in that direction. Yep. No, you're right. Go ahead.
And the fact that they do custom builds, right? They can retrofit. They can make it work for what you already have potentially.
Right.
I love that option. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
I look forward to the future being a lot of the big systems that hold the lot of weight for the big grows, the big grow ops, because that's getting a good product to a lot of people that need it.
Well, one thing that I think Lemony can agree with, that when you're growing commercially for medical, consistency is very key. Anytime you can change your lighting and get better consistency, or change something and get consistency, and especially at that critical point of curing, to have some good consistency and getting the best out of your product, it's almost paramount,
Yeah, like you said, a third. Yeah, like earlier there, a third of the, you know what I mean, of it is curing, but I would say it's all of it. Because you can totally ruin it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do a
And
great
even if you
job,
have,
and at the end, it could be totally ruined if you miss the mark, right?
Yeah.
and even with mediocre product, you can get a really good final result if the dry and cure is dead in the zone. Even mediocre products, after at least 2 or 3 weeks of proper curing, it actually improves it immediately. And the whole thing about people saying that, I think the trichomes I heard one of you guys saying the trichomes seem to be much better formed. They don't collapse. They don't stress so much.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a thing. It really is a thing. I mean,
we
do thousands and thousands of lab tests every month, and we know for sure that THC content does increase with a good cure. There is no doubt about that. That's not anecdotal. That's proper
awesome
evidence.
Yeah, because it blew my mind. I'm like, this is major, man. Like, anybody who's been smoking their whole life, if you take a dry, as soon as you're busting that bud up and you can smell it immediately, and then you put it in the freaking joint and you take a dry hit, man, that tells you a lot. And then you put it under the USB microscope, like you're saying. Like, I thought myself, like, this is crazy good. Everybody should know how much of a difference that this can make in what we're doing, And like I said, even if you're not using that machine, now you have the idea of what you need to accomplish to get there,
The first sign was not smelling it. Because I mean, I do, like, it's not always that way. Like my Hinder root beer there, when it's done and I open the door, I smell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just because it's so damn terpy. But compared to how I used to do it, it really didn't smell at all. Like when I did the Northern Lights, the first one, and I opened the door, it just smelled a little green. But there was no real terp because it wasn't leaving, right? It was still kind of all in there. But when I broke up the bud after, it dried and cured, it's 3 weeks, it like breaking up the sea vault and smelling it still was a little bland. It was like there was You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But when you break that bud open, like you said, put it through the grinder. Oh my lord, all the smells are there, and you do that first dry heave there is super good. It's like, oh boy, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
That
like
means
Jane was telling
it's all
us,
still there. You know.
you know, Jane was telling us that they were doing side-by-side tests in a known conventional manner and side-by-side with the Cannatrol, same plant, different,
Yeah.
and how it turned out. It's just, the
Nice.
product's amazing. The science behind it, help you understand a little bit.
I think it's cool that the big commercial ops are getting into it. And hopefully
Yes.
yeah, maybe limonene. Yeah, that's going to be a good outlet.
Limonene.
Limonene. I'm sorry.
Limonene.
I've been saying it wrong
know,
for 3 years in my head, man. I'm
Yeah,
never gonna
nobody
be able
in
to change
America
it.
is ever gonna use that as lemon.
Just think lemon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lemonade.
guys, you're meant to be potheads. Come on, you don't know about terpene. Limonene is my favorite terpene. That's why I'm called Lemonade, because when I was younger and more foolish, I mean, I must admit, I'm not a consumer much anymore, once in a blue moon, but when I was younger, I used to smoke quite a bit, and basically Amsterdam ruined me after I got into Super Lemon Haze from the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And that is where my nickname comes from, Lemonade.
Nice.
Limonene.
Super lemon haze, huh? So is that fair to say that's one of your favorite strains then?
Oh yeah, without doubt. I mean, it's still see nowadays it's old school. Yeah, I'm giving my age away, but at the time it was like, wow.
Yeah,
it was just like I'd never come across anything like it. Amazing.
I just harvested lemon haze auto for the spring auto flower challenge, and I've got a couple of super lemon haze that I've got in the veg tent right now too.
Wow. And how did it? Are you pleased with the results?
I don't know.
They're tasty.
I mean, for the autos, for not doing anything to them, as far as like topping or even lollipopping or anything like that, no training at all. It's decent.
Yeah, I never tried the autos with the Super Lemon Haze. I remember coming in once to the country with about 200 seeds, very nervously, I must admit, for my own breeding program. And I spent the next 6 months just on a pheno hunt from those seeds, found the best one, and I produced thousands of seeds from the best pheno.
Nice.
wow,
So that's how I started off the seed bank.
nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, do you guys ever get anything from the the greenhouse? Actually, do some pretty good seeds.
Nope, I've never
Greenhouse
had any.
seeds? They don't ship to
greenhouse.
Canada.
Yeah,
They won't
sorry,
ship to
I didn't
Canada.
hear you.
They won't
Yeah?
ship to Canada.
They
at all.
won't.
No.
That's surprising. That is surprising because in the EU, I believe the status in most EU countries is no problem buying or sending seeds because they're considered souvenir items.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know why.
So I'm
Canada
surprised
somehow.
to hear that they won't ship to Canada. That's really bizarre.
Yeah. Unless it's just what they say on their website.
It could be. Listen, I've lived in the Netherlands for a long time, and like here in Israel, they like to earn like everybody. I'd be very surprised they turned down the opportunity to make a buck.
No, exactly. I didn't try to contact them to see. I just kind of read that and went, okay. But I have a feeling that if I contact them, maybe things will be different.
It might be an EU thing. I don't know. It might be an
It could
EU.
be.
There's some very strange regulations, but
No, I've never had those seeds. It's with us not being allowed to grow, it's tough to get. We don't get a chance to taste a lot of buds and then try to buy those seeds because we want to smoke that shit. We kind of just have to roll the dice, buy the seeds based on the other people's recommendations,
Or the descriptions
Yeah.
and just different things that we look.
But I remember you growing that blue Measure auto flower, and that's been one that I've wanted to grow ever since then. That's the next auto flower I want to grow is be the blue Measure. That thing was, is that how you say it, Mazer or Measure?
yeah, it was a blue Mazar, and they were
Mazar.
autos, and it was quite rare that we do autos in commercial because they're not that consistent. But we had the space, we had the seeds. I thought, sod it, let's do it, and it turned out really, really well.
That's pretty cool, man.
but now we have our own geneticist, and the genetics here, I have to say, you know, they're just amazing. They are amazing. I think I don't know, Smart, if you saw Rosty's link. He sent a link to an article in the Jerusalem Post about the University of Jerusalem engineering a virus which they introduced to a cannabis plant to increase its THC contents by 17% and its CBG content by 20%. And, you know, I never thought that was possible. I was on the phone a couple of days after I read that article. I was on the phone to the actual guy who was involved in the project because I happened to know him, and obviously he was very, very cagey about it because this is all proprietary stuff and no one's going to be spilling any beans anytime soon. But that
you got to work on terps, man. Terps.
Yes.
If they can get that terpene, you know, virus going there, oh boy.
I was going to say, as soon as I heard virus, I was thinking that doesn't sound good, man.
It's like a neutralized virus, the way they worded it there.
Exactly. They get the virus and they clear out all the bad shit inside. And
it's not something you're going to have to worry about smoking or anything crazy. So
no.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So
no, because it's for medicinal. Medicinal here is like, they're really tough. There's so many rules and regulations. They make our life a misery, but for a reason, because at the end of the day, it is going to sick people, even though probably about 30% of it finds its way onto the black market, because that's the reality of things everywhere. But for the most part, it is really for patients, and a lot of patients with seriously compromised immune systems.
Yeah.
So what you do is amazing, I must say, to get that medication out to people on a large scale.
So that THC isn't synthesized in a lab or anything. It's more that virus that is, and they induce it into the plant, which then reacts and creates those extra cannabinoids.
Yeah, it's a response to being exposed to the virus.
That's better than like creating THC from yeast, right?
Right.
Well, as Puffy, I think I just heard Puffy D say it was a response to the virus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it triggers a response there. A bit like a UVB does, right? It'll
the plant produces THC as a defense mechanism.
Yeah. Nice.
It just seems like, and I wouldn't be surprised to hear that it did it, but to do it at that numbers, that's a lot. That's quite an increase, 17 and 20%, which is pretty awesome.
They need the skunk virus. Acquire that skunk virus and you will be a billionaire. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Whatever makes it make that skunk smell. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Well, I don't know about the terpenes, but coming back to the terpenes. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I hear other people speaking. I don't want to speak over them.
No, it must be.
It's just delayed. We're waiting for you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, man. Well,
Oh, is it Toasties?
Is it feedback or something?
I heard something.
Because I don't hear anything.
You still there, Limo? Oh, I don't hear him anymore.
Lemonine.
If you're talking, we can't hear you. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
I was just hearing a lot of voices. What I was going to say about the terpenes. Our problem here is that our problem is the heat generally. I mean, my name's Limonene, and that's because
What's going on?
Oh, you might be getting bleed or something, Limo. If you're monitoring the YouTube stream, are you hearing doubling?
Because I don't hear anything. Do you guys?
No, it's just,
Sounds perfectly fine when he's talking. I keep hearing him stop, but I don't hear the voices that are making him stop.
Okay, all right. I think that's better now. I've just changed channel.
Okay.
You guys, all right. No, I was going to say about the terpenes. Our major problem here with terpenes is that things like super lemon haze or anything with limonene in it, the terp limonene tends to burn off at 24, 25 degrees Celsius. Sorry, I don't do Fahrenheit, guys. And that is a problem, but I can grow it. I can't obviously grow it in July, August, September. That's a bad time to flower. That's a nice blunt poppy. I can't grow it in those really hot summer months, but the rest of the year it grows okay, it produces fine. THC levels are pretty high. However, the terps almost inevitably tend to burn off. But if we manage to cure it properly, and I'm talking about a minimum 3-week, preferably month and a half to 2-month cure, it's almost as good as a super lemon haze grown in a cooler climate. But recently, in the past year and a half, we've been developing our own genetics. We've bought genetics from other farms here, which have been specifically bred for our climate. So we don't have problems. You know, I used to, years and years ago, I used to go to the Sinai, well, I still do occasionally, just to chill out on the beach and do a bit of diving. And there are a tribe of, a nomadic tribe called the Bedouin. And they are notorious for smuggling ganja across the border. They grow a particular type of weed, which is, to look at it, it's very brittle and very crumbly, and you think, nah, this won't be anything. But really, I don't know how it must be genetics, because they grow in a very, very hot and a very, very dry environment, but it's extremely strong and very tasty weed. So it can be done.
So the terpenes are the kind that don't vape easily off the plant, or kind of thing.
Yeah, I reckon just from the taste of it, I don't know about their strains, but it seems like they have pinene or myrcene or something that will burn off at higher temperatures. But still, when I say higher temperatures, you know, we're talking about 25, 26, 27, maximum 28 Celsius, where they're growing in temperatures of 35 degrees plus. So,
So there's got to be
a
some
lot of
going
it is
on.
to do. A lot of it is to do with the genetics, and I suspect the main part of it is the drying and curing. Because, as I said, if you harvest and you barely get a smell, or you don't get a strong smell, and you think, this isn't going to be anything, but hey, they dry it and they cure it and they produce some very potent bud.
Right.
Yeah, man. I often tell people, whenever I was a youngster, I knew this guy, used to grow up in the woods here in Pennsylvania, and he would bring his buds down in a big garbage bag. This goes against everything I know now, but he was bringing his buds down in a big garbage bag. He had a chain stretched across this barn, and he would hang them up in there. And you know, it'd get pretty warm still in Croptober time during the day and shit up inside that barn, up high in the barn. And I'm telling you, that was some of the dankiest, most smelliest shit. It was one of that old school stuff that you could have in your pocket, and everybody knew it when you walked in the room, you know. 5
It's
minutes.
like in Jamaica, right? Like,
Yeah.
How the hell did they dry their wheat? It's always like 85, 90 degrees out there and super humid. You know, there's always a bit of loss, but for some reason, I guess they got strains that even though it's hot, they don't lose the terps, and it makes it through. And
those were the type of people, they wouldn't teach us anything, man, because they just wouldn't teach you anything on how they grew all these big, beautiful plants, you know. They just, I don't know, I guess, they figured if I teach you, then you're going to start growing and selling or whatever. And this is how I feed my family. That was a big part of his yearly income, you know.
Yeah, commercial growers are still pretty much like that. I don't know what it's like in North America so much, but around here it's like, no one says anything.
Really, you guys don't share like cuts and then share like the flower time and all that with the people you're giving them to or selling them to or whatever? Like, how many plants do you take care of at once? Can I ask that, Limonene, so that people know?
Well, sure. We average between 1,200 to 1,400 per greenhouse, and we have 8 greenhouses.
Wow.
And
so you're
most
talking
of them are on the
10, 12,000 plants. Wow.
Easy. Each grow stage. Sometimes we stagger it. Sometimes we do sea of green. Sometimes we do particular grows. It depends on very much on the season, because even though we do have a form of climate control, you can't completely climate control an area of like 1,200, 1,300 square meters. It's almost impossible to do.
Right. Wow, that's so. I got so many questions. We're gonna definitely. I hope for sure. Limonene. Am I saying it right?
Lemonine.
Lemonene. All right.
Is that
Lemonene.
Lemonene.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
So I'm
We
thinking
got to
why
do
not?
an interview with you, Lemony, a
Yeah,
special
man, we
guest
gotta get
People in
episode
chat
there.
are
We go
actually
through all
asking
that.
for an interview.
People in chat want to know more. We have to maybe get you on and do an interview with you, man. Let us pick your brain and get some of that knowledge out of you if you would be up for something like that in the future.
No pressure.
No worries.
Yes.
No worries. Obviously, there are certain things I'm not allowed to share, but
Oh, for
Right.
sure.
for the most, I mean, I think there was some guy on Cocoa for Cannabis in the chat room the other day, and I sent a screenshot of several of our different lab results. Obviously, stuff has been scribbled out or blurred out, so
Right.
it has to be, but showing the actual THC, THCA, and the CBD contents, lab tested by independent labs, not by our own lab.
Nice.
And it was because it was a debate. I think it was genetics. Yeah, it was a debate about genetics, and he was saying, yeah, how can you do that? How can, you can't possibly grow something in those temperatures and get that level of THC, blah blah blah. And I'm saying, look, grow here. Look, here are the test results. These are published test results. One strain's 24, one strain's 30. They're all above 20.
Nice.
All our strains are above 20 because unfortunately the market here at the moment is not big into CBDs. Everyone wants high THC content.
Wow.
Government of Canada, same thing. Won't accept anything under 20% THC.
Really?
No matter what.
Wow. I mean, I would like to see more balanced ratios, to be honest, because I believe they will help people more.
Yeah, there's
patients
strains
more.
that don't clock in over 20% that are just as potent as anything that's 30%.
When you add in the
Yeah,
entourage
yeah.
effect,
That's what this
Yeah.
is.
It's about the terps. It's really about the terps.
It's about terps. It's about CBG. I mean, there are so many active ingredients in the plant that it's not just about people know about THC, people know about CBD, but that is the reason that pharmaceutical companies haven't been very successful in producing pills and solutions for particular conditions. They've produced a pill that is THC, for example, but they found that it doesn't necessarily help certain conditions having X percent THC.
Right.
And at the end of the day,
plant recipe there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're talking about that combination of the plant itself. And that
The
maybe
option
is
was
why
effective
Big
to do
Pharma will never really want cannabis to be grown by the masses.
Yep.
Because it's something that they can't control, but they can't
Exactly.
compete with it. They can't compete with the whole plant. We know that.
Frenchie nailed it because he said there's some terps that are so small in that mix that they're unquantifiable. So they would never be able to reproduce the
Yep.
strain's recipe.
not like
Because they
nature.
can't quantify what's in it. And that little thing that they can't quantify might be the difference, right?
Well, just like a man trying to, replicate honey, and they can't do it.
Right.
Exactly. Nature
Yeah.
is a lot more powerful than we are. Yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You said something before about producing THC from not from ergo, but it was from a type of fungus.
From yeast.
What was that? From yeast. That's it.
Yeah.
I do remember that it's been synthesized. And I'm just be interested to know what the effects are and how and if it would help medical. But I mean, I'm sure
Because it's just THC or CBD, right? Because it creates the CBGA, which can then be turned into this THC or CBD, but that's it. There's nothing else, right? So it's just like distillate, to be honest. It's a synthetic. Distillate.
They haven't really been able to reproduce it medically or to produce a medical drug for it with success. What they do here, and that is why the medical cannabis industry is so big here, is because there is no competition, there is no alternative.
Nice.
You need the plant, you need the whole plant. Absolutely.
Thank God.
It's not like cyberpsilin or other like hallucinogenic drugs, which you can actually synthesize. And I was reading about a company that actually produces a nasal spray from Liberty caps, from what they call magic mushrooms, and they use it as therapeutic, psychological therapeutic treatment.
Microdosing through nasal spray. Nice.
Exactly. And that does help, but nothing has been proven. Well, nothing has been proven on a large scale, proper medical study anyway, but at least anecdotally, we know anecdotally that the people that are using the whole plant actually get benefit from it, whereas people who have tried specific medications which just distill one particular active ingredient don't really get so much benefit from it.
Wow, that's awesome.
I've even tasted the difference just smoking it, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey,
there's something missing.
Somebody in the chat here, I just wanted to mention, I'm sitting here smoking. I think we're gonna go ahead and just keep going here for a little bit, unless somebody has to leave, that's fine. But my wife and I are gonna just sit here.
It's just a pleasure to have you here, Lemonine. And
getting this information from and having toasties and Cannatrol, and I'm just riding by here, and I feel like we can just hang out for a little bit. If anybody needs to go, that's fine.
I got no problem with it.
Yeah, there's no other shows we're stepping on or anything. So there's a question in the chat for you, Limo, and I promised our good friend, the American one, shout out to him. He said, Smart Poker asked Lemonine, does his geneticist use CRISPR? I don't know if that's something that you guys
yes, they do. Yeah.
Oh, no shit. That's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
you
one
tell
of their
us
techniques. I can't really get too much into genetics, A, because it's proprietary, and B, because to be frank, I'm not that smart. I don't know enough about it.
I don't know about that now.
But they are playing with it. Yeah.
I can appreciate
that
they proprietary.
They do gene editing, and they do use CRISPR. That I do know. But to be honest, I don't get that heavily involved into it because it's really not my my area of expertise.
Nice.
Wow, that's pretty wild. And I wanted to ask you. We mentioned earlier, Lana, that you had about 1,200 plant or 12,000 plants at any given time. How many strains, or how do I want to say this? How much of that is one? How many strains make up that many? Like, do you run with 200 of each strain or 1,000 of each strain? Like, how does that go? Or does it vary by, I guess, what people want at the time?
Well, obviously there are more popular strains. I mean, people like the high THC strains.
Yeah.
There is, for some reason, they tend to like indica dominant plants here.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but that seems to be the preference. We have 30 strains that we grow fairly regularly. We plan plantings completely depending on the seasons, and that doesn't mean to say that every, I don't know, March, April, May it will always be the same strain, because we look at long-term weather forecasts, what it's going to be like especially during the flowering period, because that's the most important period in terms of temperature and humidity. So we tend to go with 4-5 strains at a time at any one grow period. I hope that answers your question. But we have 30 strains that are in our seed bank and that we do produce fairly regularly. There are 2 strains which are extremely popular, and we tend to do more than one greenhouse at a time for those strains.
Nice. Yeah, I was just curious. Now, I got, like I said before, I got a good bit of questions running here. Can I, and if I ask anything that you can't answer, that's fine. Just tell me, because I just kind of like don't think in that. I've never been in your position to have to like hold that kind of stuff back. But anyhow,
no worries.
How do you take your clones, man? Like, I'm just curious. Like, you have to have a large ass mother space to be able to feed that kind of operation, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, the greenhouses they range between 1.2 and 1.4 dunams, which is 1,200 to 1,400 square meters per greenhouse.
Yeah.
Brass Monkey. There's a whiskey called Brass Monkey. I love that. I wonder what the weed is like. I suppose it's whiskey flavor. Yeah, Brass Monkey. It's great whiskey.
That was a good song too.
Yes, yeah. But no, yeah, they range between 12 and 1400 square meters per greenhouse. They're not all the same size. Some are a little smaller, some are a bit larger. But as far as clones, we've tried many different techniques.
Okay, that's what I'm curious about. Like, how often are you taking clones? I guess is another thing I'm curious.
Pretty much constantly.
Yeah,
pretty much constantly. I mean, yeah, there may be periods of 2 to 3 weeks where there's a break for taking clones, but a month doesn't go by where we're not taking a lot of clones. When I say a lot of clones, I mean a lot of clones, obviously. We do the classic propagator in a rooting room. All our rooting rooms are indoors, obviously, because we've got to keep them fairly cool. It gets mad hot here. My preferred method is I like a product called Easy Plugs. They're a Dutch company. They're cocoa pellets, basically, but they're a very specific shape, and they have lots of air inside. We use regular cocoa or peat pellets. We've used rock wool, but my preferred method is Easy Clone plugs on a bed of perlite, which sits at the bottom of the propagators. Now, that's my preferred method. Having said that, there are certain months of the year where we just clone directly into cocoa, and we just have sprinklers on them. Basically, they're pots, and we just stick the clones straight in. And if the temperature is in the range, we will do that, because that's a much less labor-intensive method. Although for best results, consistent results, I do prefer cloners, what you call propagators, soft propagators. And I prefer the soft propagators than the hard plastic propagators, because they tend to fit better. Whereas the hard plastic ones, they have gaps, they warp a bit, they're easy to crack. Very easy to crack, and they're much more expensive as well. We've tried hydroponic, obviously, and aeroponic rooting, but it's very effective, but it's not effective for us simply because of the amount of water that we need to use. And we live in a country where water is an issue, so we have to be as economical as possible with it. What else? Oh, we've done tissue culture as well. And I'll say this about tissue culture. Tissue culture is a really good thing. It's an amazing technology. However, we tend to use tissue culture more for archiving genetics rather than growing clones for production, simply because it takes longer to grow a decent clone from tissue culture than it does to just stick it in a propagator or in a pot of cocoa. So that's what we do for cloning. I hope that's answered your question. That's a great answer. I really
awesome. Thank you.
That's very thorough. I can just I'd say cannabis is actually an easy plant to clone. It's one of those plants that wants to put down roots. Yes, there are some strains that are much harder to clone than others, but I'd say out of all the plant kingdom, it's one of the easiest plants to clone. You told me something, Lemonine, a long time ago that stuck with me, and I've repeated it many times, and I just wanted to kind of, I guess, have you back me up, I guess.
Sure.
But anyhow, you said that you guys were doing testing, and you found, and this goes, like, before I go any further, I appreciate the terpenes and the entourage effects much more than just high THC content any day of the week, hands down. But anyhow, you said that when you were testing, you found that you had your highest THC content when you had 50% cloudy, 50% clear on your trichomes. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And I found that, and I think other people find that to be quite interesting. That most people are waiting for that amber, the first hint of amber or whatever. But I think it kind of makes sense, because I would call that early harvest, and that's just based on personal preference. So, and I would get like a heart racy kind of deal from an early harvest, and maybe that's why, because it has way more THC and not enough of the terpenes have synthesized yet to have that nice balance that we like, you know.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like the couch lock effect. I mean, look, if you're growing an indica dominant, or, you know, let's face it, it's not many pure sativas or indicas around. But if you're growing an indica dominant, then yeah, let it go. Let it, you know, let it be couch lock if that's what you're looking for. But if people, and I'm talking now for recreational, not medical, yeah.
Right.
People, I mean, I tend to think of sativa as the connoisseur plant of weed, basically. Exactly, it's focus. You know, in my youth, I liked to. Exactly, and being high, not being stoned. I never actually enjoyed being stoned. I enjoyed being high, and that's what got me looking into this. And what we found is that when we harvested, I mean, I have to say it was probably more like 60-40, 60 cloudy, maybe 30% clear, no, 35% clear with a little bit of amber, because you're always going to have some amber at that stage as well. And we started testing them, and we found on the early strains that we were growing, they certainly did bring back higher percentages of THCA in the reports, in the lab reports. Now, since then, we've moved on, and it is actually very difficult for us to say, right, we need this percent cloudy, this percent amber, this percent clear, simply because the greenhouses are so large, there's so many plants, it's very, very difficult to get them harvested within a very small time period. And it tends to take us on average 5 to 6 days per greenhouse, depending on how many people we have, because that's still a manual job. We don't automate that. There are farms here that do automate that, but we haven't got to that stage, and I'm not sure we're going to go in that direction anyway.
Yeah, man,
the manpower.
We never get to test any of our shit. So when I hear people that have firsthand knowledge of testing, you know, it's always good. Then when I look at my plan, I feel like I can look at it and say, right now is my highest THC content. And, you know, so anything that I can learn along those lines, I always try to jump in on.
And it actually sculpted the way we do our harvests, because when we see the cloudy, we like to go with, you know, 90% of them cloudy. If we don't see any ambers, it comes down. That's not a factor when we're taking a plant.
It's like an overall, it's like an overall,
even if it's indica dominant.
No, we'll let them go a little.
I usually, you know what, I'm ignorant to those. I grow plants and don't even really know if they're indica dominant. I usually could tell by you know how I tell limonene or lemonine by the leaves, and that's what I do, because I feel like they're all mudbloods and there's really no true stuff out there from what I understand. So, and yeah, pretty much it's weird. I just kind of watch them and they just get this certain look. I won't even check the trichomes until a certain time. You know what I mean? All the curls, all the hairs are curled in. They start to get this certain leaf look. They kind of relax. They start to get that look in the tent, like they're kind of crumbling a little bit or falling in. They losing turgor pressure. And then that's when I kind of get the USB out, and usually it's right on. Sometimes I'm a little late, but I'd rather go a little later than a little earlier. That's always been our motto, and it's kind of served us well.
Yeah, it's all right.
Sure, because you're going to get the yield.
I was talking about, if you don't want that couch lock you feel, then you can pull them early. I do it. If it's a heavy indica, I will pull it early every time, because I don't want that couch lock effect.
Well, a lot of times couch lock. I really want that couch lock.
I think, well, and that's a nice thing about doing, like, if you do a monoclonal, if you do 2 plants, well, like if we're doing 2 plants, we did Matanuska Thunders. We let one go about 12 days longer than the other one. 1, so it could cure in the Cannatrol, and 2, it kind of let the other one mature a little bit, so we could see a slight difference in some of the, and I like the earlier one better on that one, believe it or not.
You did notice a difference, like it was a noticeable difference in the
Well, they weren't from clones, so any differences could be genetic variances. So, you know, so, but I do like the one that came down earlier first. Now, play that for what it is, you know, based on it, they both came from seed. But
Helly Doc's got a question there for
cool. I
But,
missed it.
what are the two strains that you would? Well, I guess that's what he's asking there. What would be the two strains that you would
Grow the
grow the
most.
most?
What are your two favorite or whatever? Or I guess the grow.
Okay, are you?
Now,
Well,
would that be his
that's a tough
personal
question.
choice or the company's
It's-
choice, right?
Well, no, that's a very tough question. If you ask me what my favorite whiskies are, I could tell you no problem. Are you asking in terms of somebody who's a home grower who likes to smoke, or are you asking in terms of medicinals?
Yeah. it's-
Or are you asking in terms of
How about we do both?
growing process?
How about we do
Because
both?
there are strains that I really like to grow. I like to grow Super Lemon Haze because it's a great strain to grow because it on the one hand it is sativa dominant effect, but on the other hand it grows more like an indica, and its yield for a sativa dominant is really good. So in that respect, I love SLH purely on a personal level and purely in terms of cultivation. If you're asking me what's one of the most popular strains for medicinals are, especially for pain relief, I would have to say there is a strain which is not developed by us, but which we have grown. It's called Erez, E-R-E-Z. And it is very popular. It's named after a patient. He was a cancer patient, and it was developed particularly for him. Probably about 20 years ago or more.
Erez, right?
Yeah. I think it might. I think I've seen.
Is it Z? So it's
E-R-E-Z.
EZ. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not something. I don't know if there are seeds for it. I know it is a medicinal plant. We bought some clones from the particular company. That's why we were able to grow it.
Okay.
But if you're asking me for commercial strains out there, you guys are probably much more experienced because you get to try all this new stuff that's coming
There's
out.
a lot of new.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff. I mean, I'm dying to get my hand on any of the Mac varieties.
Yeah.
To try them out
right now
here.
too.
Mac stuff there. Oh my lord.
Yeah,
got some
I mean,
back-
I've tasted it and I had to say I was pretty damn impressed. But for us to do that, even if we did it legally, which we can do it legally, it's just a process and you've got to import it, the seeds, and you've got to go, there's a, I think 3-month quarantine and then it's got to be approved, but it can be done. But after that, our issue is this: if we buy a strain that's been developed in North America or Europe, for example, we're going to have to acclimatize that strain, which means get it used to much higher temperatures than it would normally be grown in. And the way we do that is clone it. And you have to clone it at least 7-8 times, 8 generations, in order to acclimatize that particular strain. That's why when it comes to commercially available genetics, I'm really not the person to ask because we don't tend to deal with them. We deal with our own genetics, or we modify existing genetics which have been grown here simply because we can get it to production so much faster.
So you can actually like kind of get the plant to get used to your environment through the clone process.
Hey,
listen,
I've literally noticed that effect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same with humans. I mean, look, when I first came here, I was sweating buckets. I said, I hate this fucking place. It's way too hot. I'm never going to be able to survive here. My wife is from the Netherlands. She was even worse. Now, when it gets to about 23, 22 degrees, she's got to put her socks on indoors because she gets cold. So
she got used to it. Yeah.
Human beings get used to it. We used to be bitten to shit by mosquitoes when we first got here. Now they don't bother us at all, hardly bother us. So it's the same with plants.
I've been acclimatized to my cold Canadian weather because the heat there, I can't stand it. And some people like Puffy there will live in 110-degree weather all the time. It's that there's no way I could do that. I'm not used to it. You know?
Hey gang, we got to take a second and say hello to Happy Cultivator. Just joined us. Cheers, Happy. Thanks for joining.
Happy.
Nice to have you here, Happy.
Sorry, guys. You can go ahead back. I just didn't want him to feel left out. Go ahead. Uh-oh. Looks like he maybe clicked the wrong button.
Yeah, I think people are getting confused between the YouTube channel and the Zoom meeting. I think that's what happened to me.
Yeah, if you're monitoring the YouTube, you have to go mute it because you'll hear yourself double, and it'll be a pretty bad delay depending on where you are. It could be 7 seconds, it could be 30 seconds. And so all of a sudden it starts talking and it's like, no, it's not actually alive. It's 30 seconds ago. And you'll start to recognize what you heard. You know, like, hey, I heard that already.
You guys were talking about these clones, and it's got my wheels turning here. I wanted to ask Lemonine if he has a answer to why. This is highly debated. I've heard many people say different things, but how long would you personally in business keep a clone around? How many generations do you guys ever do clone from a clone, or is it always from a mother plant?
Okay, generally for consistency, it's mothers, and we pick because there is variation. You know, you can take 20 clones from a mother, grow them into plants, and they can and you can flower them, and you test them, and there will be variations. Now, what we tend to do when choosing new mothers, we do new mothers from clones. Although my preference is from seed whenever possible, but we do have quite a lot of mothers that we've taken grown from clones. And what we've done is we've taken a whole bunch of clones, grown them, vegged them, kept them in veg, taken clones off them, flowered those clones, and then tested the results. And whichever is the most consistent in terms of active ingredients, we'll just like flower the rest and keep those mothers which have performed the best. In terms of taking clones from clones and generational, they shouldn't, I mean, in theory, and I know this much about genetics, in theory, you can do it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And in theory, there should be no variation whatsoever. However, there is something called epigenetic stress.
Yes.
And that means that clones can inherit the properties of the mother it came from, not just genetically, but on an epigenetic level. That means if you get, like, I had a couple of workers in the nursery a couple of years back, and I made the mistake of putting somebody in charge who shouldn't have been in charge, and he was in charge of these guys, and it was like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when they were pruning. Yeah, and they just had no consideration. They were pruning really thick trunks. They were cutting off branches that shouldn't have been cut off. And because of the stress caused to those mothers, we noticed that the clones that came from those mothers actually degraded in terms of rigorousness. Is that a word? Rigor, sorry. I'm forgetting my English. In terms of rigor, in terms of active levels of active ingredients, etc. There was a lot of damage caused by this particular incident. And we very quickly realized that epigenetic stress is a thing. It's a real thing. When I came to Israel, I came across all these people, my father included. My father is the son of a Holocaust survivor. And my father left my mother when I was 5 months old, and I grew up without him, and I met him when I was 18, and it was like a really messed up thing. And for years and years and years, I was like still really pissed off with him. How could you do this? How could you be so messed up? Blah, blah, blah. Now, his sister, who lives not far from me now, she explained to me, she said, listen, you have to understand that he's a second generation Holocaust survivor. He never experienced the horrors of that particular era in history. However, he heard from it all the time with his parents. He grew up in a house where his father would not allow music to be played. His father, unfortunately, had his first family shot in front of his eyes, his wife and his 6 kids. And so my grandmother was his second wife. And when they came to Israel in 44, I think, they managed to get here. And my father grew up in a place where there was no music. It was a very odd upbringing. And only now am I beginning to understand him slightly. No, I understand why he is the way he is. I never understood it beforehand. And this is in effect epigenetic stress. It's exactly the same thing as mowing down a huge mother when it shouldn't be cut down so severely and causes stress. And that stress is not inherently genetic. It's not in the genetics of the plant. However, that stress is passed on to the next generation.
Part of it somehow because of what happened.
That's an
very
excellent.
interesting. They're living things like we are, right?
What an analogy.
It's
Yeah, that's the best analogy I can think of. I mean,
that's
didn't want to.
Yeah.
That's a powerful one, I can tell you that.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
good analogy. Oh, I just to confirm there what the, because I was asking for a heli doctor. He wanted to know what your actual warehouse was dedicating the 2 best strains to. So I guess he wanted to know about where you worked or
Well,
you know what I mean, the
work
output of the those big warehouses there.
Yeah, like I think he wants to know what's the 2 main strains that you guys are putting out now. That's something.
Yeah, if that's something you could even reveal.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm afraid. And even if I did, he wouldn't recognize them simply because they're not commercially available. You can only buy them in pharmacies here in Israel.
If I remember correctly, you were coming to look for seed. You were hoping to get seeds maybe from like in your commercial grow, and you were hoping that someday you would be able to get them from like California or some of these other places, just so you could get different kind of genetics to play with. Hopefully that, if
Absolutely.
Hopefully that does
Absolutely.
happen.
We have done. We've imported some seeds. We've actually imported some strains of gelato. We've imported what else did we bring in? Oh, the Mazar was an import.
Yep.
There were a couple of other strains, and we've done that mainly for research, just to see how long it takes to acclimatize. Can we grow autos on a commercial scale? What we found is that it's much better for us to concentrate on local genetics, on genetics that have obviously been brought into the country quite a few years ago and have been acclimatized.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm unable to give you names of strains which
right.
you know.
I kind of figured. Yeah.
No, that's all good.
A little specific.
Yeah.
Tell us your
Very
money
nice.
makers so we can take you over.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm sorry I never got to see you guys because we were in Dixie a couple of months ago. I took my son and we did a road trip through Dixie. And I thought, yeah, let's stop here. But, you know, I had my kid with me and it was really a trip for him. So we just did the Smoky Mountains and, you know, all the nature parks and stuff like that, and had some fun. Next time I come over, I'm definitely going to be landing on some of your doorsteps.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would be cool.
We definitely like to smoke down with you for sure.
There's an open room here for you guys.
We do have
Cool.
extra room.
I wanted to ask, I had to mute you there for a second, buddy, but you can unmute yourself now if you wanted to show us what you got going on. I see.
Okay, guys, I'm going to say bye. Before Happy comes in, I want to say bye. I'm sorry I have to leave you, but
That's
we're
all
on
right.
holiday, and my wife insists we go for fish and chips now because we don't get to do
Oh, that sounds
at
great.
Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it.
home.
No, we
Guys,
Yes, thank
grow
you
is
so
love.
much.
Thank you for the program. It's been really a great program. Grow is love to all, and I hope to join you guys soon.
Yeah,
All right.
always an
Thank you.
open invitation, brother.
Grower love.
All right, have a good week, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.
Grow up.
Awesome.
What's happening in your tent there, Happy? Let me give you the megaphone here.
They're about to get the chop, the axe.
The axe comes down.
Look at that. That's a perfectly
Nice.
filled tent from corner to corner, wall from the window
you,
to the
guys.
wall.
Put the net up to hang. You know, putting the net into good use.
There you go. They stayed pretty short and stout for you and didn't need it, huh? Or is there one down in there?
Oh, no, we're going to use this for hanging. We're going to dry
Okay.
on this.
What's
Now you trained those with Gigi, right?
Yeah, this is Hempa, Gigi, and I throwing this together.
Awesome.
Shout out to Gigi.
Looks damn good.
Ooh, it's smelly in here.
I bet. What
But, yeah.
strain is that? Is that a mono crop?
So these are Super Lemon Haze. And then that one in the back, you can't really see. That's a Hindu Kush and something else. It's a bag seed.
Oh, okay. Hell, that might be your favorite one, man.
That's what I was thinking, the secret stash. You guys
Yeah,
are having a great show, man.
Nice fatties in the back there. I like that.
yeah, that's a great looking
Actually, the
plant.
whole right side there is pretty
Been an awesome
fat.
show.
Oh,
Thank you so
Happy.
much.
We've been having a lot of fun talking to different people, and that includes you and Toasties and checking out everybody's stuff. And it's fun. This is a chance we got to go a little bit over. I think we all had a little bit of free time today, so I think maybe we can go till like 3 o'clock if everybody's cool with that. And like I said, if anyone has to leave, that's fine too. But yeah, is that your only tent you're running right now, Happy?
So I got this and then a couple side quests. I'm about to drop seeds again here in August. Oops.
Nice.
Oops. As I drop it on the plant. So I don't know if you remember the closet before, but this is the result of over vegging. I had to save one plant and kick the other one outside.
Ah,
That's the first one I was showing or whatever.
it looks good, man. It's a very healthy looking plant. It looks like it
Yeah,
might be
it's like a
growing
lot
quite
of root.
vigorously, huh?
Oh yeah, she's
Oh,
gonna
it's
be
perfect color.
pretty decent
Yeah.
under the TS 1000.
Yep.
And the
Solid light.
But yeah, so we took the other white widow. Remember the tall one? I don't know if you remember that. But we
I
took
think I
that.
do.
We super cropped her and made her like an umbrella kind of and put her outside.
Awesome. How's it doing?
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I want to see it. Is a bear, does a bear shit in the woods? Oh, that's my way of saying yeah, buddy.
Heck yeah.
I
I
always
muted
enjoy
it so you guys don't have to hear the zipper.
I always enjoy the outside. I wanted to ask you, did you do any sort of hardening off for this plant by taking it out and bringing it in, or did you just say balls to the wall?
To be honest, I just threw her out to the wild. Said
That's up.
go.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to transition her. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I was just curious to see how it reacts to that in the coming weeks. How long's it been since you tossed?
Almost a week. She definitely had some like shock.
Yeah, big difference, environment, lighting.
Yeah, going from like no light, barely any light to a lot. But yeah, here she is.
Oh, okay.
So she was like this tall.
Okay. Cropped her down there. Okay, I see.
But yeah.
Very
So I think
nice.
we're gonna.
A lot of people don't crop.
Try and
A
build
lot
some
of people
weird
don't
shit.
really crop their outdoor plants like that. They kind of let them grow natural. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. She might get a little big.
Oh yeah, you'd have to get up on. We have a friend Max grows blue water. Max Overdrive. He grew a plant that was like 11 foot tall. Man, he had to have a ladder and build a cage up around it.
So
It was amazing.
I had a
Window
buddy
style there.
who had like almost 20-foot plants easy.
I'm gonna try and keep her as low as possible.
No, I don't blame you, man. That's pretty cool. Low hanging fruit, easy to harvest.
So I'm gonna probably pull up. It's gonna be weird, but I'm gonna bring a 5 foot net underneath, right, and maybe build like a frame for it, and then I'm gonna sandwich it, bring one down on top.
Nice. So it'll be
Try and keep it
supported, keep it down, and then keep it up later.
Yeah, exactly. Try and keep her within 5 feet.
Yeah.
I won't presume to know where you're at, but I assume you have a fairly decent growing season left, about, at least halfway to go.
Yeah, we got about, I'd say like a month before we start to see pre-flower outside.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna definitely get some lateral growth now, right?
I think the next step, we got to do is take all these tops off to redirect all the growth.
Sun powered, right?
But yeah, these
Gonna
are all
have
like,
so much power, man, that you don't really need to take too many shoots, I think. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah. Boss was saying to take these,
But then
so
again,
that we distribute the power to those,
Yeah,
because
she's
otherwise
gonna-
these might go huge. They're gonna
exactly, she's gonna be humongous.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hey.
kind of a little fun.
Oh, and you
project.
got her super cropped and everything. Nice.
Yeah, you spread it
Oh
way
yeah,
out.
I have a wrap on them. She got
Go
band-aids on.
wide.
Just laid out. Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to take a second and say congratulations, Happy. If I recall correctly, you're now the co-host of the Hemp with Gigi show at 420, right?
Right. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate
Oh,
that. Yeah.
cool. Right on.
Hell yeah. We're gonna do our chop today.
That's
Here in a
That
couple
awesome.
is awesome.
Well, I'll be in the chat with bells on there, cheering you on.
Thank you.
I'll be
guys.
there. Yeah, I'll be there
Thank
too,
you, Kristen.
because
Thank you, Spot.
I think that there's going to be some, really cool people from the Cocoa for Cannabis website that I haven't seen in a while going to be showing up there today, and I'm looking forward to the reunion party
That's
Yeah.
in
awesome.
the chat. So
Heck yeah.
I'll definitely be there.
Yeah,
And
I'm
can't
sorry
wait to
I
see
haven't been showing
Kiki.
up. And me, it's because it's my nap. I'm an old guy, and that's the only time I take that nap there before the 7 o'clock show. So it's like I eat, I go to bed, and yeah,
And
that's
feel ya.
just right in my prime sleeping time there. So
that's my excuse a lot of times.
exactly, and I'm sticking to it.
I after this show, I wait about a half hour till I calm down a little bit, and then I gorge myself, and then I fall asleep, and I wake up, and I'm like right at the end, or I missed it, and I'm thinking, damn. But
I mean, I got to put the alarm on, or I'll go right through.
we got a
Same
lot
here.
of love for Gigi
thing.
and Gigi's show, and we want to make sure that everybody goes and check out the Hemp with Gigi channel, and I guess now
Absolutely.
it's the Happy Cultivator as the co-host. So I look
I-
forward to many hours of hanging out with you, Happy. And
Thank you, man. I appreciate
I
that.
posted a
lot.
link in chat for everybody that's watching the show and here in live chat. You can go to that link and check. The show comes on at what, 4 or 4:20?
Right around 4:20, I think 4:20ish.
And then
Yes.
maybe if we get some
Thank
time
you.
here,
Thank you so much.
we can pop your you have an Instagram, Happy?
Instagram and YouTube, yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
maybe we'll try to round up those links and throw them in the chat. And then if anybody wants to subscribe to you, I'm sure you'll be sharing the updates and the upcoming shows and stuff for the Gigi show, as well as Hemp with Gigi too.
Heck yeah, and thank you so much. And I think we're gonna start to do some of our training, on there. We're gonna do some live sessions like we did last night. Just
Awesome.
kind of, yeah. That needs to be fun, man. I appreciate all love. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely trying to build the channel up.
That's what
You
it's
guys are
about, man.
And what's the IG handle?
Instagram, I'm the Happy Cultivator. I
Happy
think there's a link
Cultivator?
on my YouTube.
All
for
one
it.
word?
Yes, I think. Damn. Happy
Oh, here it
Cultivator,
comes.
the Happy Cultivator 23. Yes, there it is.
A Happy Cultivator.
Oh, speak of the devil, somebody's ears must have been ringing.
GG.
Mr.
Cheers.
Hemp with Gigi, I can sense his presence.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just get the link so I can post it there.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you,
trying-
man. Thank you
I'm
so
sitting
much.
here being lazy, smoking a
Yeah.
bowl and not even sharing links. I was hoping
I'm looking.
can somebody bail me
through,
out, please.
They'll make you type the whole thing too there.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We gotta stop here and take one
There we go.
second and say cheers to Puffy for finally. He's the hashtag reveal your face. He's the first one of us to kind of turn around on the camera and say hi to everybody. And I like it,
Cheers,
Puffy.
man.
I enjoy
I
having
think
the
it's
show.
awesome. Yeah.
Staring at your face. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, I guess. But you're my
Well,
buddy.
Yeah, it's
just so
nice.
There we
everybody,
go.
just so everybody knows, I'm in Oklahoma, so I am, legally able to grow. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm showing my face and showing my garden and stuff, so it's all right. So
Oh, yeah.
I figured, it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
happen sometime, even if you guys don't do it, I might as well do it.
It's nice to put a face to the voice.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
For a lot
you
of
know?
people, I think.
People that have been tuning in and listening to you all will now have a face to go with it. And cheers to that. I'll smoke to that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that's
get
good.
him up there. There he is.
Yeah.
Everybody meet Puffy D. Hell
I'll
of a
make him
grower
show.
and a good friend, man.
Great
And I tell you
growing.
what, buddy, I'm better off since I've met you. That's for sure. You're a hell of a co-host, and we're glad to have you around, man. And we
Hell yeah.
appreciate.
And he was
Thanks,
showing
Doc,
his
for
face.
bringing
Like
us all together.
I saw Puffy the first time, and he was showing his face. You know what I mean? He was on Gigi's channel, so they were both, visible. It's just because we weren't. I guess he just decided, why should I?
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah,
decided to come back.
That's
So I'm
kind of
glad.
like how it was
step
for
up,
me.
right
I'm in a legal state, and I still just kind of I was like, oh, it's just not a face show and show.
No, me too. I'm in
comes-
Canada, man. It's legal here. I'm a ACMPR. It's all legal, but there's some
Here
about
comes
I like my
Yeah.
privacy. Yeah.
Yep. Here comes another legal beagle putting us all to shame with training. With
Hell yeah.
Gigi. Look at that. Can you turn your phone sideways, please, Gigi? If it'll, there you go. Boom. That's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, that's textbook.
Yep. Corner to corner.
Just starting the pom poms there, right? Nice.
And we got the Metagrow Smart 8. I know, Smart, you have a code for that, right?
Yeah. The code
Oh, that's
SMART.
a smart 8. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, Smart.
Yeah. Gigi has a code too, I think. It's
Yes.
HGH. I forget. What is it?
Nope, can't tell you. You got to use Smart Poker's code.
That's cool. I appreciate it, man. What strains are we looking at here? I haven't really got a chance to catch up with you.
There's 5 Oreo Stompers, and then that back right, that one just run away as a peaches and cream.
Okay, I think.
But these are all controversy copycat genetics.
Ooh.
Hey, man,
I
they
think
look
you remember you saying that there last time.
they look like happy. Yeah, I was going to say, once he mentioned all the strains, I remember them, and they look like happy plants in your garden. They're going to give you good medicine, and that's all that matters, right?
Right.
Right.
But we'll see.
Yep.
I've only grown cheap $10 seeds, so we'll see what more expensive seeds do, which I don't think they're going to do much different.
No doubt. You harvesting today? Something?
I'm not harvesting. I'm only 2 weeks into flower.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe you had something else coming down. I know Happy's harvesting.
Yep, Happy Cultivator, like you were saying, he's now a co-host over there. He'll be chopping right on the channel. It's been a pleasure to be a mentor to him, or a mentor and him be a student and a friend. I mean, he's a hell of a guy.
That's awesome.
Thank you, man. So are you?
The garden is reflecting, I'd say, some A's on the midterm or whatever.
Yeah. That's it looks beautiful, Rob. I look forward to seeing it coming down and getting maybe a close up of one of them buds in the hand and the whole 9 yards.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I'll be here with a banana split in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, Smart.
good.
Are you using the Smart 8 at all?
Not yet. It's supposed to be on its way, man. I'm going to start it up with the plant training grow challenge.
Have you been using the dimming feature there for the start and the end of the
That's
day?
what I was going to talk to Smart about. Is I was curious how he did it. Me personally, I don't like that the screen stays on in the dark cycle.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I do use the timing feature. As you see, it says it has 11 hours and 32 minutes, but
Yep.
it's also plugged into a mechanical timer that's set on the same exact time. So I'm able to get the sunrise and sunset from it, but
then you shut
doesn't
it
keep
off.
the green screen on. Right. When it clicks
Yeah,
back on,
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
start the same 12-hour cycle. So you get the 30 minutes when it first comes on, and then it's 30 minutes before it goes off. It does like a half dim.
Okay.
What if you put a piece of tape on it?
I was thinking that, but there's been a few ideals, but I found it easier just to go with the way Dr. MJ Coco was saying, just plug it right
It's
in.
got a battery, eh? Like it remembers your settings?
No, see, that's why I'm
That's what's
Dr.
wrong with
MJ
it.
Coco. He said to make sure that you plug it into a mechanical timer just because it doesn't have a way to remember time. But in a sense, that helps you in a sense, because it doesn't remember time, as soon as it gets power, it just starts that 12-hour cycle again.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Okay.
kind of beneficial
you.
for you that it doesn't have a timer, because that wouldn't work then. But I do
That's
think that was a
interesting.
failure to launch on them,
Oh,
because
for sure.
when I tested their X, this screen would fade after 30 minutes or 30 seconds. Now when the light goes out, this screen stays on during the light cycle. I don't know if they're trying to go off of that green theory, where green isn't
Right.
visible. Yeah, that's
Well, it might be under 0.1 UMOLs. Do you have a power meter?
no.
You can measure
Heck
it.
no. I have Dr. MJ Coco. He tells me where to hang it, and then I say, forget
Yeah,
it.
Doc.
I mean,
he has a power meter because he could be able to tell if it's. Actually, no, it's micromoles. He probably wouldn't register even on the. It does point.
Well, when I
still.
got the light, I did ask Dr. MJ Coco, and his simple solution was just plug it into a timer.
Yeah.
Right, Smart. Your power meter there, it goes like a 500 point.
No,
One?
it doesn't go down that low. To measure that low, you have to have a light pollution meter.
It doesn't have a point, right? It's just 1
It won't.
UMOL or 0.
It'll go to zero and won't
Yeah, okay.
register or anything. Yeah, you have to have that special. They sell it at Apogee,
The
but
nanomoles.
yeah, nanomoles is what we need. That's
Another
Light
meter.
pollution.
Damn it.
Uh-huh. They have quite a few meters over there because I thought the same thing. How many
But
meters? do you
Bugby
want?
said there, if you can read a book, it's too bright. So if
Yeah.
you put it in there with that light, you close the zipper, you get stand in there with it, with that
Yep.
green light, and you hold the book up to where the canopy would be. If you can't read that text bare eye, like you'd have to stay in there for a while to get your eyes used to it. But once you're used to the dark and you still can't read it, then it should be all right. It shouldn't trigger flowering if it's under 0.1, right?
Well,
I don't know.
if anybody wants to check out, I have a playlist, and in one of my playlists, it's called recommended videos, and all of Dr. Bugby's videos that I like are in there. And one of them is an explanation of the effect of light pollution on flower development, and it shows incrementally how it went up and all the way to, I think, like more than you would actually ever realize. Like you would know way before then. They went way past the scale, but it's a good watch. You should definitely check it out in the recommended videos. Excuse me.
I'm glad you said that.
It's
I
a
don't feel
great
like enough.
breakdown, of because
Not
I mean,
enough
if
people-
you don't have a meter, how do you know, right? So that's a good gauge or to read a book, right? It's like moonlight. It's kind of the same thing. If you go outside with a book, you're gonna have a hard time in moonlight to
Well,
read that book.
In that video, he also states very clearly something that what Gigi just referenced is that green light is acceptable in there. And he says you should not be blasting green lights in your grow or any light above a certain number of nanometers, whether it be green
It's
or
not safe. Exactly.
Not safe. So just because it's green doesn't make it safe. What makes it safe is the amount of nanometers of photons that it kicks out. And they're pretty sensitive, but not, it was pretty eye-opening, I thought. I mean,
the read the book applies, right? It could be all red or all blue or all green, but if you can still read the book,
it applies, man.
It's gonna be too much, huh?
But yeah, everything's looking good there. That's your Fox Farms there, Gigi, I presume.
Yeah, this is Fox Farm soil.
Are you into feeding any nutrients yet, or no? Or
Yeah, I don't feed in veg. Every now and then I'll have to feed like a cow mag because there's never enough cow mag. But other than that, no, I don't feed in veg. I do 3 transplants across the 6 to 8 week veg, and then I feed every other watering in flower. So this probably been fed 2 times now.
Yep, that's kind of what I figured. I remember you mentioning that regimen, and I'll be damned, it works quite well. It works
The way I
perfect.
look at it is, I used the Cocoa for Cannabis feeding chart, but I just obviously cut the cow mag in half. But what I do is I just read the plants overall. If they're overall dark in color, I just do a water. If they're overall light in color, I would do a feed, and then back to the every other watering. But I don't increase the amount of nutrients. I increase the frequency in which it receives it.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's obviously working perfect for you.
Yeah. But it helps Happy Cultivator because he's a brand new grower and he doesn't know why.
I was going to say, it worked perfect for anybody, I'm sure. But I like what I'm seeing there. That one plant on the left there, look how many bud sites you have right up front.
Too many.
Yeah, that
is that a thing? Too many?
It looks like
it will be later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be.
I'm more like stuff like this with the railroad track. That's actually what I got to do at some point is make my tracks.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. People watching probably think
make those grimace faces there.
Yeah, Happy Cultivator doesn't PPM or EC or anything. He doesn't know, necessarily why we're feeding the bottles we're feeding. He just follows the 5 rules I have. So nutrients is not a thought to him. We get a light from Dr. MJ Co, hang it and forget it. So the light isn't a thought to him. So it just really leaves them with water and training. You want to do watering in soil, just water really fucking well and leave them alone. So it only leaves training. That's where I put my energy.
Little bit of an environmental controls and you're right on track, right?
Yeah. In a sense, some people do take that a little extreme on the environmental controls. When you have new growers trying to read VPD, it's like, please, there's a large range. Let's just focus on something else.
Oh yeah. But at the same token, I've had little baby plants in like 35 RH and they just stunt right out. So what's going on? Right. So you're right. It's a pretty wide range. You can get away with a lot, but you'll definitely see suboptimal growth if you get too far one way or the other.
Yep. That's a good point. Definitely I would say it matters a lot in the beginning and end. At the beginning, they're very fragile. At the end, you really want to drop that humidity and temperature the last week or so of flowers. So yeah, beginning and end definitely can be a little tighter range, but yeah, still a range.
I always get nervous in the beginning. It doesn't matter. Every grow when they're little, I'm like a bull in a china shop sometimes, and I got to be careful. I'm always like, this is the time when I mess up,
Well, you don't have a whole
And
lot
the
of,
most detrimental part of messing
it
up.
really
yeah.
is because they're so young,
And they-
but you can recover pretty quickly.
Mhm.
I'm the opposite. It's at the end where I used
It's a
to
weed.
be stressed out.
It's
When-
a
when you-
weed. It's
When you're
fine.
worried about the mold coming on, when you got
Yeah.
Yeah.
a tent like Gigi's, it's packed full of hard nugs. You that's when you start to sweat at the end, right? You're like, I got all the way here.
Yeah.
Then
You
you're
wanna
in
get
there
the
every
whole
day.
way.
Peeling your buds back, spreading them apart, trying to look through there, falling in the tent almost, trying to get to the back of it.
Ugh.
Oh man,
Yeah.
whacking your head off the light.
Did that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our buddy, the polar bear Newt in chat over there. One time he
right.
folded a whole bar on one of his lights, man, and it literally broke it and everything. And I felt so bad. I was thinking, I've done it, but never that hard,
I thought he was here.
Yeah. We've banged our head a couple times against the HID.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
real
that
head
was
bagger
a-
there.
Yeah.
It would leave a lump on your pumpkin, man. The corner of that thing would cut you down to the white meat.
Yeah, Happy Cultivator was excited to get to actually come and show you his grow. Usually they're in the dark at this point, but he can show you because they're being chopped.
Because he's going
Yeah.
to chop them today, and that's going to be awesome. I'll be tuning in to see that. That's going to be really
Thank
cool.
you.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
like-
that the next grow, Happy will be having it set up to where when your show's on, the lights will be on, and we'll be able to follow along a little more closely.
That's what we've been doing, but he's always wanted to show you guys. I know he's come to your channel a few times, and he's like, I can only show them the
Oh,
positive
because
grow.
they're in the
Yeah.
dark.
There's just
Oh,
the
man.
closet.
We love
Yeah.
seeing them, man. We really appreciate you coming and sharing your grow with us, man. And you did a wonderful job. That's your first grow?
Yeah, it's my first CJ chop.
Dude, that's
It's
a
his-
knock it out of the park first grow. That's
It's
like,
his
Thanks, man.
second
We did
grow.
clones in here right before.
okay, okay.
It's his second grow. We met when he had clones in there, and he had a net, and it was all crowded. So I said, let's get through this grow, and then we'll do a seed to chop where we meet every 4 days to a week and just go over
Yeah.
your plant.
Well, it's
Great teacher,
knocked it out of the
Gigi.
park.
You both. What a great job, man. Kudos to you guys.
That's fun to watch
Freaking
this go.
awesome.
It is fun to watch that shit go down, man.
Yeah.
On
And you're
purpose.
gonna have some awesome, medicine right around the corner. You're probably excited about that too.
Oh man, I can't wait.
The
Yeah.
feelings that you're going through right now, it's just that's a part of it. Like that's the part of the fun.
Yeah.
you
Sharing the
know?
medicine. Yeah.
The
Oh,
definitely.
excitement of your second harvest coming down, and it's just your
Yeah. And then there's
your plants are beautiful, and you're like, wow, I got there.
and
Yeah,
there-
it's an emotional roller coaster going through the end of it.
Yes.
It really is. Don't want to cut them.
well,
Yeah.
let's spotlight them again.
Indeed.
There's a certain pride that comes along the connection you make with your plant when you cultivate it from a seed. If you're passionate about it, because my heart's in this shit, man. And when you're passionate
Yeah.
about it like that, when you open your
So
tent,
fun.
you can tell when your
Oh,
plants are happy, when they're sad, and if something's going wrong. A lot of times, I'm serious. I feel like I vibe with my plants. So you should want to show your plants off, man. We want to give you the platform to show them because there is a certain pride that comes with growing your own medicine from beginning to end and being able to harvest it and share it and say, I did that. And it's something humans have
It
we
is.
have an affinity for that. We want to be a nurturing something like that, whether it be a garden or whatever. So it's a little deeper than some people actually think, at least for me anyhow.
For us,
Oh, yeah.
definitely, it's
A
It's
big
a
portion of this is medicine, like for my mom. She's like 76. She has like rheumatoid, I can't say it, arthritis, and a couple of things.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
doesn't like the pain pills at all. This is yeah.
that
so
is
that's
awesome.
That warms my heart
That's
to hear
awesome.
that.
You help your family member. It's a good feeling when you can keep a family member off of opiates,
Yep.
yes.
because
it's
those
it's a big
pitfalls that
deal
they're
over
not.
here, man.
Yeah.
It is.
Everybody go check out Happy Cultivator. and follow him and help boost up what he's trying to do, which is exactly what all the rest of us are trying to do. Spread the word, grow some medicine, and just be a good growman. He's volunteered time at Cocoa for Cannabis. We appreciate that. We want to encourage everybody to go to Cocoa for Cannabis. When you get time, sign up for the Plant Trading Grow Challenge. It starts August 15th. And sign up for the Grower Love giveaway. You'll find that on the deals and discounts page. And hang around the chat, show some love, check out the forums. And Cocoa for Cannabis is all of us have good ties there and a lot of love shown there. So
That's how we all met.
yeah, cheers out of them. And
Cheers. Yeah.
Yes.
thank you
Beautiful
for having
stuff,
me.
bro.
Cannabis,
Beautiful
the
stuff.
great uniter.
Yep,
Gonna be a good
Everybody-
run.
exactly.
Good content.
Exactly, man.
Thank you guys so much too. I appreciate all love. I really do.
Been a nice addition to the community, man, and we want to try to support that and uplift that. And
Hell yeah. Thank you.
who's the limit, man? Enjoy yourself and have fun, and you'll go far for sure. That's a lot of work you put in there. You're gonna have fun today.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be crazy.
I remember those first few harvests where I actually had fun. I thought, why would anybody hate this? I don't understand. Like, this is awesome. This is wonderful. Like, I'll
Yeah.
never get tired of this,
Yeah.
ever.
Hooked quickly. Hey, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you. You're gonna hang right there and dry. You have pretty good control over your long room there, then I presume.
The humidity, you say?
Yeah, like your environment, your temperature and your humidity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
I'll be
Gigi
bringing the
has you
temperature
all.
down to you.
I'm sure Gigi has you all fired up and ready to go and have everything in order. I'm just trying to.
Humidity, I gotta run the dehumidifier quite a bit right now, but I kind of take it to the other room during the day usually because it gets kind of hot in here. Ooh, blurry. But yeah, humidity definitely is a bad
you're
here
gonna-
right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be able to control your because the cure, man. I want to make sure. I want to see you get a good cure on that. And get
Heck
your
yeah.
medicine.
Oh yeah.
So, hopefully you'll come and share with us, and we'll try to follow along as fast as we can here during the
Oh,
cure
definitely.
cycle. That'll be fun.
Definitely. We're gonna do a little bit of hand trimming with some of this, like the bigger nugs, but then I think we're gonna hey Ron gifted it, brought over an amazing gift.
Ah, that's awesome. Trim bag. I think
yeah.
I know somebody has a code for one of them trim bags. You know anybody?
Oh yeah, that one guy.
Oh, hemp with Gigi. What is it?
HWGG.
WGG. If you go to
You
trim
know what
bag.
Berkshire did though? Berkshire went and bought one using my code, and I was like, "What are you doing? You could just contact Doc and get one and get a code." And he's like, "Oh shit, what was I thinking?"
Oh man. No, if anybody's gonna, like we always tell people, we're not trying to sell you anything, but if you're gonna buy that product, you use the code, help support us and save yourself some money and all that good stuff. It's a win-win all
Win-win,
around,
right?
So
Oh yeah, when I first came in, I met Gigi. We were talking about a light for in here. We almost got the photon tech, but I told him it was a little out of my budget at the time, so he
right.
looked around a little more and found the Magobi and a code for it. Awesome.
Boom,
Yeah, I got
that's-
You
a great
you
light.
save money on this grow, it perpetuates to the next grow, the return on
Yeah.
investment starts rolling, you have a little more, money to play with. Everybody here knows that you have that, good, the piece of equipment
yeah.
in your grow that you either have that's your favorite or you want.
Yep. That's a good light.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know the code to that, Smart, for Magobi from Dr. MJ Coco? I know he has a code. I just don't know it.
I don't know. I got a code. It's Smart Trim. So if anybody wants to go to Magobi and buy something, you can use that.
Oh, you
code.
have a
yeah, that
Magobi,
works
huh?
perfect.
The smart trim. And
Yeah,
then
it's good for trim trays, lights, presses, anything they sell, and it's down in the description.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
so
I
you get the
feel stupid now. I didn't know Magobi Light and Magobi Trim Tray were the same company.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, it's all from them. They got the 5-ton press and some other stuff too that they've been graciously.
I'll have to start pushing your
Make
code
calls,
because we
worthless
talk about his
Yeah,
light a
you can drop
lot.
it right now.
So
There's the light. Well,
Yeah, man, it's Smart Trim, all capital, and
you see what
yeah.
it did.
I
for
want
me.
that tray, man, for sure.
yeah, the trim tray, we really enjoy using it.
The plastic there, like I always forget to put the parchment paper. And to be honest, I don't trust it because you know how that stuff is. It just
Yeah.
buckles and stuff and it rolls up and it's like, what if I got all my powder in there and I decide to take the tray off and it comes up
Yeah.
with it or whatever? It's like, no, I don't
Yep.
trust it. I'd rather sweep it off and get some static and you know what I mean? Because it's bad. Like I scoop it with a plastic card, which is just like 10 times worse because now I'm creating static with it, you know?
Yeah, we took your advice, man, and we hit it with a back massager and with some all of our dried trim on there that we were getting.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe what was coming off stuff that
I was
we were
writing my
just
name in it.
normally, yeah. We
Yeah,
normally
exactly.
just throw that
Oh,
away.
it works, man. It works really good.
It worked great, but you know what? We're getting low on time here. I think we wanted to wrap it up here, at maybe the 3 o'clock hour, but
Yeah,
no hurry. But I was thinking maybe we could go around here and give everybody a chance to say their goodbyes and shout outs, codes, their shows, whatever they're doing, and we'll go ahead. A couple minutes over, that's fine. But I just wanted to take a minute to say thanks to Cannatrol for coming on earlier and really giving us the inside scoop. And then we got a nice treat there with Laminine and some of our other guests here, Happy Cultivator and Toasties and Hemp with Gigi. And I just wanted to say thanks. With the chat makes this awesome. It's good content for me. It's good for my heart and my soul. And I love this shit, man. You guys are awesome, badass people. And I wouldn't want to do it without you or with anyone else.
Yeah, I second that. It's been a great show. It's always fun hanging out with you, all of you.
I'll keep my goodbye short after that big long rant.
And I'll keep my goodbye short too. Thank you, everybody. I'm Crispy Wannabe. Thanks for coming. Everybody that came on the show. Weed Nerd and Puffy D for always being there, co-hosting, and of course Smart. Thank you so much for having the show. I love all of you guys, and girl love everyone. And I'll pass that on to
let's do our guests. Yeah, let's do our guests. And we'll start with how about Toasties? I feel like we haven't heard from Toasties in a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to keep my mouth shut and let the show happen. But
oh man, well you have to always come back, man. You know you're always welcome. Come back when we have some more time. And
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, hey, you know one thing too. I've been looking. I was looking at my plant here. I think I'm closer to harvest than what I thought. I might wind up flipping the lights on and chopping this on maybe Wednesday's show.
Oh, that would be awesome for you to
Yeah.
come on and do that. We would love to have you.
Yeah, let me know,
That would be
man.
sweet.
I'll throw it in the show description if you give me a heads up, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm honestly thinking I'm going to do that anyway. So yeah, I'll probably do that. Yeah, Sunday for the show. But yeah, shout out to you guys and shout out to Dr. MJ Coco and Weed Nerd and Hemp with Gene. Man, it's been a real fun day. You guys really brighten up my week at least twice a week, sometimes more.
That means a lot.
But
Thanks, bro.
yeah, so great. And cheers, and I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys Sunday. Or
Absolutely.
whatever
Wednesday,
day.
yeah. Don't
Wednesday,
forget.
yeah, I do the same shit, man. Maybe we'll slide it over to Happy Cultivator, man. You can shout out your newfound position on the show and whatever else you want, brother.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on, man. You guys have had an awesome show. Crispy, Smart Poker, as always. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the warm welcome over at Cocoa for Cannabis, and I hope to see all of you over there for the plant training contest. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, if you guys want to see the chop, it's coming up here in about an hour. Let's see, 4:20, about an hour and 20 minutes. Much grower love to all you guys, Hemp with Gigi, my mentor, and I hope everybody has an awesome day.
Thank you, brother. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then maybe we'll slide over to Hemp with Gigi. You want to go next?
So much growers love it. It's crazy. I definitely appreciate Smart Poker and Crispy, and you have amazing co-host yourself. You guys always put on an amazing show. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm Hemp with GG. You can find me over at the amazing Cocoa for Cannabis. Make sure you sign up for that challenge coming up. We have awesome grow leaders. I'm excited for it. But yeah, I'll be doing a show here at 420 EST with my co-host, the Happy Cultivator. We'll be chopping and sharing the growers' love. I'm so glad to be a part of all the communities I'm part of, not only here, but like I said, Cocoa for Cannabis and many other great places. So growers loved everyone, and thanks for having me.
Grower love.
Growers love.
Yes, grower love.
Thanks for coming by, Gigi. I hope everybody goes and tunes in after the show. Get something to eat, go feed the dogs, and then tune in that with Gigi, and then click on the little bell up in the corner, and it'll remind you every time that Gigi's having a show come up. So that'll help you out. Puffy, you want to go next, buddy? I'm glad that you showed your face today, man. It's been a better show. I think more people tune in now because they can start putting names to faces here.
Yeah, they don't have a plant to look at or two plants to look at or whatever. You know, kind of imagine, you know, a face behind the voice. So yeah, this is cool. I mean, I didn't have my plants up there all the whole time. So yeah, one of these days you guys can join me, you know, in the spotlight and, you know, feel those rays on your face too. So
Yep.
with that being said, you can find me over at Cocoa Cannabis in the chat room most days. Most of the people in chat see me over there all the time. So yeah, anytime you need some help or something, don't hesitate to ask. That's why it's there. So you can find me on Instagram too at PuffyD1974. And one of these days I'll get my channel up and go on and have some content up there for you guys to view. So until then, we'll catch you next show. Grow love, everybody.
Puffy.
Grow love. Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Down the
Nice
weed
job.
nerd.
Right on. Well, yeah, cheers to everybody. Yeah, Smart, Crispy, Puffy, Hemp with Gigi, Toasties, Happy Cultivator, Lemonine. Now you got me saying it wrong.
Yes.
I had it right before.
Turk.
And
Lemons.
everybody else that comes
Lemonade.
on there, everybody in chat, and especially Dave and oh no, I can't remember his wife's name.
Mary
But
Jane.
Mary Jane, there we go. They are awesome guests as well. So so much information on the Cannatrol, and I'm a very happy customer. So I'm very pleased to have them on and be able to get a little more info on it. So, but yeah, cheers to all you guys. Grow love, great episode, and we'll see you on Wednesday for that harvest.
Thanks, weed nerd. I want to hurry up and take a quick second and say we'll see everybody tonight also at 7:00 at the Cheap Home Grow Show on the
Growing with my fellow growers.
That's it, Growing with My Fellow Growers channel. If you're missing that
Tune
show,
in.
you're missing out on a lot. So tune in there, and we'll see you Wednesday. Grow love.
Growers love.
Grow love.
Grow love, gang.
And stop recording.